What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 53 of the Game Room Podcast. I'm your host, Rome, alongside Dev.
Hey, what's up?
And joining us in the Game Room for the first time ever, first time in person on any of the podcasts I've done. Forrest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you were the virtual boy.
Yeah, virtual boy.
I made a lot of Nintendo jokes when I was cutting my promos on you.
The better. Anyway, hello.
Yes, so now Ty can see Forrest. I remember the one time Ty was like, "Who the fuck is this Forrest guy?" Well, this is him. He's
This
here.
is me. I'm that guy.
So, I had a script. The script went into the trash on Sunday. I was doing Ty's show with Kenwall. Great guy, Kenwall and Ty, both of them. And we were talking, he had his whole slate of stuff that he wanted to talk about. We were like going through it. And like I'm always keeping my eye just on Twitter when I'm live, just because you never know when something's gonna happen. And something did happen. The new
What happened?
My missus. The news came out
Made on the podcast first.
that Xbox may be going multi-platform, and their exclusives may be going to PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, going everywhere. So I have put together. I feel pretty confident saying like most of like the bullet points of like what's happened since this news broke up until like definitely this was like a pretty solid list like as of this morning. I worked all day, but I feel like I got most of it. So I'm going to run you guys through, I spent the last day and a half on Twitter, so you don't have to basically. So we're going to go through all the news, all the rumors, where it's coming from, the responses from Xbox, a lot of the discourse, where Xbox has really let people down, what we think the future looks like, and all that stuff. So let's start off with the beginning of the story. So before Sunday, it's important to note that there was a lot of speculation leading up to all of this news breaking on Sunday, where Sea of Thieves was rumored to be going to multi-platform, that Hi-Fi Rush was rumored to be going to multi-platform. A data miner discovered in Hi-Fi Rush in-game t-shirts and items that basically implied like PlayStation got a shirt, Switch got a shirt, Epic Game Store got a shirt, Steam got a shirt. And then Sea of Thieves obviously being a live service game that's been very successful for Xbox, going 11 or 12 seasons strong. As a live service game, it's another game that makes sense to kind of port. And the community was kind of divided on this. Some people were thinking like, hey, these are more niche games. These aren't your big sellers. It makes sense to kind of recoup some of those costs. Xbox is very fluid in today's gaming landscape, mostly because of the acquisitions they've made. While others were very against it, Hi-Fi Rush was a critical hit, did very well in the critic circles, the gaming circles. Outside the Xbox circles, the game was pretty much praised as well. So that was just kind of the before part, right? I guess I'll just stop right here real quickly.
Yeah,
how did you
feel about those games going multi-plat?
So I was okay with it. Yeah. And here's the rationale behind it is I tried to explain to people that Xbox has been doing this for a very long time. People just don't realize it. Cuphead was an Xbox exclusive that they ported to PlayStation. It wasn't a first party game, but it was a game that Xbox has an exclusive under their cap. And then the Ori games also very similar type story where it is a game that was published via the Microsoft Games like publishing wing, but it wasn't a first party game, but Microsoft published out those rights to Nintendo for the Ori games to go to Switch. It makes sense in my opinion, for Xbox to do this with some of the smaller titles, given their market share. I do think that it makes some sense to kind of tease a little bit like, hey, this is what the Xbox ecosystem is outputting. If you want to get in, like these are the kinds of games that you can expect. You can expect a game that, like, for me, like as much as we argue about games as a service, I think I said it to you last week, but Sea of Thieves is a game that I really want to play, and it's a game that like really kind of makes me second guess how I feel about live service games. Maybe it's not the model that's the problem, it's just that the games are bad. Which you have said.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you never said it. I just came up with this idea.
You just told the truth, and now you just take it back.
Right now? Nothing
Yeah.
about Suicide Squad being live service.
I
Like
had the
that?
light bulb. I had the
Okay.
light bulb, and it was just like, yeah, it was never you.
But no, it also makes sense for a game like that. Like, I think that game betters if you open up the community for more, especially if you have it cross-platform with like Nintendo and like Sony. Like,
Especially Nintendo.
yeah, I
That
think
feels like a Nintendo game.
yeah, I think it'd be a really cool game to have multi-platform, and I think Hi-Fi Rush is again. I think it's similar to Ori or
Yeah.
What's the other one you named?
Cuphead.
Cuphead, where
Cuphead.
like it makes sense. It's a single-player, story-driven game.
A very niche audience, smaller game,
Yeah.
not a AAA game made by Bethesda. This
Yeah.
was a smaller team at Tango making this game.
Yeah, so
But
I think
this game has the potential to blow up too.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that it was
it
just
did really well on
one-
Xbox.
Right.
Yeah, it was even I heard about it.
Yeah.
Like I considered getting it, and I don't have an Xbox.
Yeah.
I considered getting it for PC and paying the $30.
You asked me a lot of questions about it. You're like, so what's this Hi-Fi Rush game? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, you know?
It looked like well, it's because it looked like Ben 10. That was another big thing for me.
Yeah, but so like the game was a big hit, and so like for me, I can understand the logic of, hey, so we made this game Hi-Fi Rush, and it's awesome. Let's put this game out in other places. Let's get people on into our games, and then when we put out the next game, it's exclusive. Like where it's like, hey, try to hook some people into the ecosystem, because again, Xbox is about the ecosystem in a sense that like, hey, like play on your phone, play on Game Pass, play on PC, you know. And I think that model ultimately we're going to talk about it. I think that model is ultimately hurting them, but if it's a model that they want to roll with, like it's a sound strategy to do that. But that's where we started. So Sunday night, I'm sitting there with Ty and Ken Wall, and I'm going through Twitter, and up comes on my Twitter feed this, which you guys are looking at.
Yeah.
Obviously, I did a double take. It was from Xbox Era, which reputable sources at Xbox Era.
Okay.
Nick Shape, I always say his last name wrong, but Nick at Xbox Era is
Schaefer?
no, not Schaefer. But a very reputable source. So Xbox Era is a site that when they put something out, I trust it. And that's the nice thing about Xbox is like if you know the right people, like you know who you can trust, which we're going to talk about a lot of those people today. But so it came out that and again, this is from Xbox Era, Microsoft plans a Starfield launch for PlayStation 5. For many weeks now, rumors have persisted regarding Microsoft's intentions to release a number of first-party games, namely Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves on rival platforms. According to our sources, who have asked to remain anonymous because they're not authorized to talk about company plans, that list of games will also include Bethesda's game studio's Starfield. Starfield released back in August of 2023 to fairly positive reception, despite the narrative that exists online. And was the biggest Bethesda game launch of all time, surpassing 6 million players. Now it looks as though Microsoft is planning on bringing Bethesda's newest RPG universe to an entirely new platform, the PlayStation 5. According to sources, we understand that currently Microsoft are planning a launch for Starfield on PS5 post the release of the already announced Shattered Space expansion for Xbox and PC, which is on target to arrive at some point later this year. We've also been informed that Microsoft have made additional investment into the PS5 dev kit to support ongoing development efforts, adding fuel to the fire. So, this was obviously shocking. Very surprising news. Xbox Era goes on to, put that according to their sources, Microsoft senior leadership have reportedly debated the various pros and cons of releasing more of their exclusive software elsewhere. And internally, not everyone is necessarily happy with the decision. But recouping the potential money left on the table by releasing elsewhere has arguably won out. According to sources, Hi-Fi Rush's release on rival platforms is tentatively planned for Q1 this year, and we've been advised to expect Microsoft to make a more public announcement on the new strategy this month. So, again, we talk about like a line in the sand, and for me, Starfield, I'll tell you why for me it's one of the lines in the sand for me, is that Starfield represents the promise that Xbox as a brand made to its consumers. Regardless of how people feel about Starfield, this was a game that, when you look back at the Xbox, ecosystem and the history of the brand, where the Xbox One era, Don Matrick and the people that were in charge at Xbox, they ran it into the ground. They destroyed it. They they listened to the numbers people at Microsoft, and Microsoft numbers people said, hey, everybody's watching Netflix, everybody's watching TV. So they're like, all right, well, our Xbox One is going to focus on TV instead of games. What happened? It crashed the entire generation for them. And
I forgot that the Xbox One was basically a cable box. I forgot about that.
Don
actually.
Matrick really did irreparable damage to the brand, where it's just like,
You just like unlocked a hidden memory. Like
Yeah.
I think I blocked that out emotionally, and you just brought that trauma back.
yeah, you're welcome. I live it every day.
You don't remember having to connect Xbox,
Yeah.
watch TV?
Xbox,
Yeah.
remember we would be hanging out and like we'd be watching something and someone would just be like, Xbox, turn off. It's like,
Yeah.
remember how the day one Xbox Ones needed to connect?
Yeah. No, it's like all coming back to me. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's all flooding me.
So, you know, but Don Matrick does this damage. Phil Spencer takes over, and the thing that people don't understand is that games are hard to make. They take time. So when Phil Spencer takes over, look at the Xbox landscape. They have really no first-party studios. Bungie leaves. They wrap up Halo Reach. They're like, hey, we want to be an independent studio, and then they go and sign with Activision. Then they leave Activision, and then they go sign with PlayStation. Now PlayStation's about to take them over. Bungie doesn't learn their lessons clearly. Regardless, you know, Bungie splits, so you lose your Halo developer. Gears of War was made by Epic, and you buy the rights from Epic to Gears of War, so you don't have a Gears developer. You just have this IP. And then Fable was being made by Lionhead, and you close that studio down.
That one hurt. I
It did.
remember that one.
Yeah. So, like, you look at this, and Xbox has no developers, really, to speak of. So they have to start somewhere, and they start by building this portfolio of developers. They create some their own, you know, the Coalition to make Gears and 343 to make Halo, and then they go out and they buy a Double Fine. They go out and buy Undead Labs and others and Compulsion and whatever. And they all go and they start their projects. And so, you know, games take time, and now we're reaching a point where these games that all these developers have been working on for the last 5-6 years are finally coming to fruition. But Starfield was kind of like, Redfall came out first, obviously, but Starfield was kind of like the promise of the brand, where it was like, that was the big one, where it's like, hey, like, this is, you know, they go out and acquire Bethesda, and they're like, this is the game, like, this is the first game of Xbox. And we talked about it leading up to Starfield's launch, where it's like, this is the biggest release for Xbox since Halo 1, definitely, maybe Halo 3. Like, there's not many other releases in the Xbox's history that I would say, regardless of the reception, were bigger than Starfield, or more important than Starfield.
It was definitely a staple. Like,
Yeah.
it was one of those releases where, like, the Xbox Series
You
is
should
going
have
to be
bought-
remembered for this.
You should have bought your Xbox to play Starfield. Is what
And
that
I think a
game
lot of
should
people,
have done.
yeah, exactly. Especially if you didn't already own an Xbox, if you were
Mm-hmm.
in another ecosystem, you're like, oh, I can only play this on Xbox. I have to go buy an Xbox now,
Right.
or I have to get Game Pass, or I have to find a way to play this game if I want to play the next Bethesda game, which a lot of people do. You know, it's Bethesda.
Yeah. So that's for it to come out that it's going multi-platform, and like you'll see, like there's another game that we're gonna talk about that gets kind of like rumored to be released elsewhere that like it hurts more, but like this is the one that like really hurts and really feels, because again, for transparency, as you guys know, like I own all 3 consoles, but Xbox is my preferred ecosystem. I've spent almost 20 years in that ecosystem, making friends, working on my gamer score. Even if no one else really cares about my gamer score, it's something I take a lot of personal pride in. You know, building up a library, the game room, you know, the amount of Xbox games I have, I feel like is pretty impressive, at least. You know, just spending time in the ecosystem, making friends, etc., etc. So, you know, it is my preferred console, and I do not want to see it do poorly. For Starfield to go multi-platform, to me, that's a betrayal of trust and a lie from Xbox, the brand. Now, sorry, go ahead.
I want to twist the knife a little deeper on that one.
That's fine. I'm in pain. You
Yeah,
can do that.
let's spin it.
Sure.
So also, just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
If it does go to the PlayStation,
Mm-hmm.
all the bugs will probably be worked out already.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So it's gonna be
Yep.
the definitive edition.
Oh, I've already told people.
So it's gonna be the best way to play it.
I can't wait for IGN to review the PlayStation version and be like a
And give it a
9 out of
higher
10.
score.
It's gonna get a 9 out of
It's
10.
gonna be much better.
They're gonna be like, wow, a lot of the bugs were fixed, and the
they'll
shattered
probably-
space is in
Yeah, I
it.
was
It's
gonna
just,
say,
it's
yeah.
such a great game now.
Yep.
And it's like everyone's gonna be like, which, you know what, like, small consolation victory. I fucking loved Starfield. So like, if people really come out and they're like, love Starfield now, like, I'm like, well, you know, that's the small victory in this. we won the battle, lost the war kind of thing, where it's like that one battle that happened after the Civil War ended, that the South and the North were fighting. The war is over, but they don't know because like shit didn't exist back then. And like the South win that battle, and then they find out like we just lost.
over.
We lost.
Yeah, we lost the whole thing.
We actually lost, guys. Great job winning that battle, though.
Good job today.
Well, we lost.
Where was that last month?
Yeah, pack it up. But yeah, so that was the first block that kind of fell on Sunday, and obviously Ken Wall and Ty and I were just like at that point we just stopped talking about everything Ty was talking about. Like it was just over. Let's go over to the chat real quick, and Ty says the significance of porting that is.
He said first he wouldn't say Hi-Fi Rush is similar to Ori or Cuphead because it's a first party.
Okay.
He said some other.
Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush was Xbox's best game 2023. Again, but it's a smaller niche release,
Yeah,
so it's one that I can justify. Is
Yeah,
what
I think
I'm saying.
what we mean in similarity is it is a smaller game. It is a smaller release. It's a first in the series. It's a new IP, so I think
Again,
we give it a lot of leeway.
I personally still wouldn't have done it, but I can understand it. Is my point.
That makes Hi-Fi Rush makes sense because it would do well on everything, and then that way.
It's also it's a not a family game, but
I almost what this all feels like is, and I'm sure you might be getting to this, is like it's Phil Spencer, right?
Yeah,
Who's
the head of
the head of Xbox.
Yeah.
Well, now he's the head of like Microsoft Gaming. It's complicated.
Whatever. I feel like his direction now is like, okay, I feel like he believes exclusivity has no value anymore.
So I actually think it's above him. I don't think he wants this generally, because I think the way he talks about gaming, he feels like a gamer. He feels like
Phil is a gamer.
Yeah.
Phil is.
Yeah,
always,
he was playing Diablo 4.
He's
when
always
it went.
playing
Yeah,
That's
Diablo.
one of the
He's-
rumors
yeah.
is Diablo. He was playing Diablo 4 last night when everything went to shit.
Well, it wasn't even a rumor. Like you can add him on Xbox. He'll usually respond to it. Like he'll accept the friend request, and like you can see what he's playing. He's always playing. He's playing Diablo. It's not even like he's playing like the newest game that's out. Like it's always like Diablo came out like last June, and this man's like, I just like Diablo. I want to play fucking Diablo.
And it feels like if you think about who benefits the most at Microsoft from taking Starfield and making it multi-platform, shareholders. You get more money.
Satya Nadella,
You're
the
double.
CEO.
Yeah, you're triple dipping
well,
because
it's greed.
there's double the PlayStations out in the ecosystem. You want more money. You don't care about the exclusivity of building your brand. You just want to cash in on.
Exactly, and that's where it's like they're not willing to wait for their returns, because I also wonder if they're done waiting. They're like, we should have seen a profit by now. Pull the trigger. Get rid of, dump everything.
It does feel
like,
that way, yeah.
That's kind of what it is. It feels like it's just like, all right, money now, please.
Well, that was the problem. So they spent $70 billion on Activision Blizzard, and they spent it in cash, which is really weird for them to be.
That is extremely weird.
Well, it's not weird that they bought it in cash. It's weird that they're so, like, we got to get our money back now, because usually if you're using like credit or collateral, whatever it is, like if you're using your net worth or something or whatever, like then there's more of a pressure, like, hey, we got to make this investment back. But it's like you use straight up cash. It's like your return on investment will come. Like I'm not sure what the higher ups of Microsoft expected. I mean, like games take time.
Well,
like it's a process.
Well, that's
it's
the
not
thing.
Like
They're not gamers.
I know that's what it is.
They're business. They're old money. They're They're what's wrong with a lot of stuff, and they are just like money now. I need to be richer. I need more money. My yacht's not gonna pay for its gold plating itself. You know,
Right.
Like that's their energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I maintain a personal belief as we go through this, because again, we have a lot that we're still going to be going through. Some of it is what we're touching on already, but the way that this conversation goes, there's so many different ways. It's fine to kind of jump around here. But the thing is that I honestly feel, and this is my perspective as an Xbox gamer, someone that's really believes in the brand, believes in the message, believes in the ecosystem, and loves being in that ecosystem. I do think that the team at Xbox are legitimately genuine in the fact that they love video games, they love the community that they interact with, that I don't think that they're lying. Like everyone's pointing out, like Aaron Greenberg saying Starfield is exclusive and like this and the third. As we're going to get to, a lot of this changed very, very recently. So like I just don't look at this as a situation where this is the people at Xbox wanting this. And we're going to kind of get into that a little bit more, because a lot of this information came out because the people at Xbox are not happy with this.
I just want to address the question. Good, you can read it real quick.
So Ty says, based on what's happening, can we come to the conclusion that Starfield likely didn't, I hate this heart thing on the YouTube app, didn't sell sell enough or bring in enough subscribers to justify avoiding PlayStation.
And I do think that. I think Starfield wasn't the poster child it was supposed to be, that it lived up to. I'm not saying it wasn't a great game. Mm-hmm. I just don't think
it didn't
execution.
Move.
It
didn't move. It was almost like this was their Hail Mary throw.
Whereas Halo executed and killed in the market the way it was supposed to, and I would say even Gears in a way, like, I don't think Starfield did that. Not saying it's not a 9 or 10 out of 10 game.
I understand.
But I think because it wasn't that poster child of like, hey, this is an Xbox brand game, and it didn't sell enough and it didn't bring enough to Game Pass. I don't think that was the only reason, but I do think that was like something the execs brought to the table.
So the reason I disagree with that is due to, I mean, we saw it when Starfield launched with like record players, and like the game did very well on Steam outside of Game Pass. In Game Pass, the game, they were touting like all of the players and how successful it was. I don't think it's that Starfield didn't move enough subscribers. Based off what some people are speculating is that like maybe Game Pass right now just isn't sustainable.
That could be it too.
And I think that like, because here's the thing, Starfield again, like the most successful Bethesda launch, the amount of players on Xbox, like it was topping the charts, Game Pass topping the charts, Steam topping the charts. The game was successful. Like I show me numbers that say I'm wrong, but not like you guys, but anyone. Like I stand by that. I think Starfield was successful.
No, I agree with that.
I just think that Microsoft wants more. And the problem is that I think
we should start saying Microsoft shareholders want more.
Well, you'll hear me during this. When I say Microsoft, I mean the people outside of the Xbox.
Yeah,
brand.
I think
when
I
say Xbox, I mean the Xbox.
Yeah, Microsoft
brand.
and Xbox. I think
they're two different entities.
Okay.
Xbox is a subsidiary of Microsoft, which is very important to understand. I feel like people don't really understand that. The same way, like Sony and PlayStation are two different entities as well. They're not the same. Like if the president of Sony says, "Hey, PlayStation, you're going to do this," PlayStation doesn't have a choice. It's their boss. But
we did say, I think you or Ty showed me, subscription sales for Game Pass went up like 67%.
Yeah.
And hardware only went up to 3%, which is still
it's still a gain year over year,
yeah.
Which again matters. It was still up. It doesn't matter if it was only up by a little. It was still up.
But that's also
67% gain. I think that's significant for Game Pass.
It is.
It is for Game Pass, which is why they want to push Game Pass, whereas the 3% is the issue.
Yeah.
And it's actually, I think there was a quote, I don't know where, but it was from Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Todd
Howard from Bethesda?
No, the main one.
Phil Spencer?
Phil Spencer, thank you.
Okay.
I do that all
I'm
the time.
bad with names. I'm like Bethesda. Anyway, like Phil Spencer says, I think this was during the Activision, which I cannot escape that.
No, it's forever.
It's somehow affecting even this. But, so, he said basically, like, just because we sold a few consoles, that's not enough to justify console exclusivity anymore. It was something along the lines of that, and I'm slightly paraphrasing it, but so it was very like, oh,
and it was something that we talked about where we kind of brushed over it, where we said like they're moving towards service. Like they want Game Pass everywhere. Game Pass.
They want to be the Netflix of video games.
Exactly. Game Pass is their Netflix, and Netflix is you can watch Netflix on anything. You can watch it on refrigerators. So like it's like that's what they want for Game Pass, and it sucks in a way. Like
I mean, I really feel Call of Duty would do really good on my microwave.
I mean, yeah, like
with the way they're writing their stories, I think it'd do really well on the microwave.
But so Ty and I and Ken, while we continue on his show, we're talking about it, and again, I'm still on Twitter because now we have breaking news. So now I'm like, I'm dialed in. Ty asked me a question during his show. At one point, I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what the question was. He's like, it's okay, I know you're working right now. I'm like, yeah, I'm working on this. And then out from The Verge and Tom Warren.
Right now?
No, on Sunday. Comes Indiana Jones and the Great Circle could arrive on PS5 months after its launch on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And again, so this broke a couple minutes. So we're talking like maybe 10-15 minutes after the Starfield news. The Verge goes on to report Bethesda's upcoming Indiana Jones game is also tentatively set to launch on Sony's PlayStation 5 console. We got our first glimpse of the game during Microsoft's Xbox Developer Direct event last month, where it was announced for Xbox and PC. A source familiar with Microsoft's plans tell The Verge that Bethesda is also considering bringing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle to PS5. A new multi-platform approach for certain Xbox games is emerging inside Microsoft, we're told, with the company weighing up which titles will remain exclusive and others that will appear on Switch or PS5 in the future. Indiana Jones appears to be a part of this new wave of multi-platform games.
See, I already see the problem with this. This is going to create the Starfield situation again and again and again. Play it here first is just going to be code for... We actually didn't finish the game because that's just the state of gaming right now. They release unreleased games. So Xbox will now have this reputation of like, play it here first. Or I don't buy it from you and I just go get it with the PlayStation 1 because that's the one that's fixed. And it's going to keep happening over and over. It's a bad idea.
Even
it's a terrible idea.
But like, even if the game comes out fixed, let's say it's fixed and it works, it plays the same on both consoles. I don't know if play it here first is enough.
It's not.
I agree. Which we're gonna get into. We have more that we're gonna get into.
I do think it's big. I do think it's big. Like for example, you would have waited for Final Fantasy to come to Xbox, and you would have waited forever because
of the ecosystem I prefer.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But you still bought it on PlayStation. So I do think there is a way. There's something smart to it. Not smart, but like I do think it's not going to hurt them as much.
I think it's going to hurt them a lot.
I think it's going to hurt them a lot, and it has to do with the amount of time. So it has to do with the amount of time. If they're like, oh, and then next year it's going to PlayStation. Yeah, a whole year. You want to wait a whole year? You're going to get all your spoilers. You're going to get all your other things. That's an issue. A few months, you can dodge most of that stuff. That's like missing a movie. You know, you can dodge all your Marvel spoilers.
Yeah, I think the time. I agree.
And it says it just said I think a month,
months.
Right?
Yeah, so
a few months.
Yeah, so that was the big thing where
time to fix the bugs.
And that was something I really pointed out when I was talking to Ty and Kenwall because Starfield coming out. So the Shattered Space expansion is expected later this year. So like you would assume if it's coming out after then, probably hits PlayStation quarter 4.
Yeah,
that's what I would expect. Which is a year. Not great. Still absolutely terrible, god awful. This one is a slap in the face because we're talking months. They will tell us the time frames, by the way, as we go on. We're told while Bethesda will launch Indiana Jones game first as an Xbox console exclusive, it's currently set to have a rather short period of exclusivity, we're told. The release for PS5 is being considered for some months later, with Bethesda targeting a December 2024 launch for the Xbox and PC versions. Exact timing of the platform availability for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle could change, particularly as Microsoft's new multi-platform approach for games hasn't been finalized, which that's a key thing to keep in mind. Microsoft has been evaluating bringing certain Xbox exclusives to PS5 and Nintendo Switch in recent months. And then, by the way, just so you guys know, that's the PlayStation shirt, the Switch shirt, and the
that I did see.
Well, that's for the pitch meetings when they're trying to get them to buy it.
Also, that shirt that's very clearly meant to be like Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. By the way, he's holding the sword, just so you know.
No, and I get that, but I'm like, these are for the pitch meetings when they went into each individual one and said, "Hey, do you guys want Hi-Fi Rush?"
Yeah. What was your point? You're about to make a point.
So where was it? Right before the Hi-Fi Rush tangent.
The timing of platform availability?
Yes. So if Xbox wants to actually make this consoles still work, they need to even cut out PC, which they won't do. Because when you get a PC, you can do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. You can mod it. You can get any version.
I'm play games on PC from now on. Like
exactly. So what's the point of having an Xbox?
I jokingly said in the Discord, I was like, Devro's just gonna build me a PC.
I mean,
it's getting to a point where it's like, what else am I like? Well, I mean, like here's the thing. And
really,
we'll talk about what I'm gonna do.
It's all about your housing unit. You could literally hook it up to the TV and then it plays no different.
Yeah. Well, I've already decided what I'm doing. I will reveal that at the end of the show. I've given it a lot of thought, and I know what I'm going to do, in terms of the future and the death of the Xbox brand. So this came out right afterwards, and obviously, like you pointed out when I was talking about it, that period, months, like we're not even talking a year at that point. Like I would assume
3 months.
I would assume that Indiana Jones comes out in like March. That seems like a good for PlayStation, like a March release. Mm-hmm. So we're talking like 4 months, 3 months, because January, February, March.
Yep.
That's unacceptable. I mean, as an Xbox customer, as a member of the brand, a year is too short. 6 months is too short. This is the lifeblood of your brand and your console and your fan base.
And this is also kind of where this is a bad idea, because this is where it's the speed and the difference. Like, so think of Ori and think of Cuphead. They took forever to get to these other consoles. And at that point, the titles were fresh again because they looped back around, and you're like, oh, I haven't played it yet. So then they get a piece of that pie again. You want to double dip in that sense. If you're going to do this, you need to elongate the time. You need to tell these shareholders to chill the fuck out.
Even Sony waits a long time before they put their games on PC.
They wait a year.
Like Final Fantasy 15 took like a year and a half, I think, to get on.
16?
For the Last of Us games.
Oh, 15 was on Xbox as well.
I think the Last of Us games
that was multi-platform.
The Last of Us games were both.
But no, the Last of Us games, like
Spider-Man,
Uncharted, like like God of War, I think. Ragnarok's not even on PC yet, right?
No,
I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's almost like they tried to copy their homework and did it wrong. They wrote down the wrong thing.
It's just, I think it's a money thing. It's a greed thing. Put it out everywhere.
It really does. It does come down to that. And it's like, so then there's no point and there's no value. It's because it has to do with value in play it here first. Mm-hmm. That term, which is, somebody said in one of the things I was watching, I think it was the people you told me to watch yesterday.
Yeah.
You're never going to hear this again. And then he played Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, exclusive.
And he's like, what you're maybe going to hear is, and then he played play it here first.
No, you will. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Or I could wait 3 months when you guys figured out the bugs and just go play it on the system.
On PlayStation, yeah.
On the system I prefer.
Yeah.
Like maybe sometimes I'm very...
your context is you're a PlayStation preferable gamer.
Not really.
Well, in terms of the consoles. I guess your Switch.
I'm more Switch than anything, honestly.
That's fair, yeah.
So, and it's more about, like, for me, and this is because I have the options. I have the high-deck PC. Mm-hmm. I have the Switch. I have docks. I have splitters. I have everything I need to play wherever I want, whatever I want. PlayStation 5, any of it. Even the old stuff. I can still play my PS2 and everything. So, for me, where my decision and where I'm going to buy and what I'm going to get on comes down to... what do I want to do with this? So, for example, I bought Tekken 8 last weekend because it just came out, and I was like, I don't want this on the PC. I want to be able to sit on my couch, casually pop it on, and throw some hands, and like just turn it back on. I wanted it to be a pick up and play game. I don't want to have to turn my PC on. I don't want to have to turn my monitor on. I don't want to have to click a bunch of buttons. Nope. Flip, doom. And that's what my decision-making process was like for why I got Tekken on the PS5.
Right.
So, it's kind of like, okay, what's the point with the Xbox then? Same thing.
No, I mean, you're right. And again, we're going to get into it as we go on a little bit more, but like there is a great question of like, what is the point of owning an Xbox if there are no exclusives? I think the exclusives are the lifeblood of a platform. Like, yes, we can say like, oh, yeah, they want to be the Netflix of games. It's like, well, if Netflix doesn't have any exclusive shows, how many people are actually going to stay on Netflix? Because, like, what are we, like, what's the point?
Yeah, I agree.
Especially in today's world where everybody has a streaming service, and, like, Netflix can't rely on things anymore. Netflix, like, doesn't have The Office. They lost all of the big third-party stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like now Netflix really has to rely on its own stuff that they're making exclusively.
Netflix doesn't have...
Yeah, One Piece.
I'm not speaking to the quality. The point is, imagine if Netflix in 2024 didn't have any original content.
True.
Would you have Netflix?
No, not really. Unless they cycle through on their rights for something I want, and that's what a lot of consumers are doing. They're picking and choosing. Like, it's almost like the TV guide has come back again. It's almost like
a lot more expensive.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, okay, no, and usually there's some kind of deal or something or some kind of package you can get it with. And you just need to, all you got to do is, like, if you're trying to save $1, is just mark down when the expiration date is and cancel it the day before. Mm-hmm. Like, I personally don't have time to do anything anymore. So, like, I'm always working. So this is, the fact that I'm even here is a rare miracle.
Yeah.
But, for me, it's very much about, like, okay, well, what does Netflix have? Does Netflix have the latest season of Pokemon? Okay, I'm going to go watch that. I'm gonna pay for Netflix this month and go watch that. And then Disney Plus drops Loki season 2. I'm like, all right, time, and now I'll close down the Netflix, and then I'll go do Loki season 2.
Right.
And most of these accounts and things just have just reactivate buttons.
Right.
So, for Xbox to be doubling down on this system, that's this structure that's already about to implode anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of want to be Nintendo in this situation, because Nintendo's doing all of everything. They got the exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
They got their streaming service, but it's their backlog. They got, everything. I mean, it's lesser versions, but they can do everything that everything else can.
Right. So, at this point, the Xbox community and really Twitter is just going insane. Keep in mind, this is a timeline of events that we're going through right now. So this is like these 2 articles drop, everyone's freaking out. Yeah. Tom Warren from The Verge, he does put out a tweet, and this is something that's very important about why all this news came out. Tom Warren tweets, "It's worth stressing that Microsoft is considering Xbox exclusive games for PS5. It does not mean that they will 100% launch. But it does show a big shift in Microsoft's Xbox strategy is emerging. Hi-Fi Rush looks set to be one of the first, but the question remains on how many others and when." And Ty says he agrees exclusives are important. It hurts the console big time. It hurts the ecosystem big time.
And Ty, I don't think at least for me, I'm not attacking the shareholders.
I am.
I just don't agree with that move because the exclusives are so important. I just don't agree with. Again, I know they want their money. They spent all this money. They should get the return that they want. It's kind of sad to see a whole.
It's an investment.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to see a whole ecosystem die because you want your money, and it's like it's fair. Get your money.
You could make more money.
Yeah,
you're spiting yourself.
I honestly do think this move will make them more money. I do believe that. It just sucks to see that.
See, I think as time goes on,
fill their pockets.
I think it won't.
To fill their pockets, something has to die, and it's the Xbox brand. It's the Xbox ecosystem has to die.
So I agree and disagree with you. It's when the pockets will be filled is what I want to pick out.
It's the immediate though.
They want the immediate, and we're saying what I think what Rome is also trying to say is that
these shareholders are 50 plus. They don't have time to wait.
50 plus, try 70, 80.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
They got to pass that wealth on to the next generation.
Yeah, it's not that I'm attacking the shareholders. It's just kind of like
they're stupid.
Sucks. You guys want to fill your pockets and
they're trying to get their money and get out
to do that. Yeah,
and that's what they always do. That's what they've always done,
mm-hmm.
and that's what they'll continue to do. And it's stupid because you could make so much money later, and all you needed is written in your contract that, hey, this was my decision, so I get to see the dividends of it even if I die. Like,
it's just not a long term.
It's not long.
It's not a long.
It's very short sighted.
When I say long term, I mean for the company, for Xbox company, for Microsoft company.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's not. It doesn't feel good for them. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. It's not good for them.
What's also baffling to me is if you look at Xbox and you look at how it's doing for Microsoft, is that it's very lucrative for them.
Or maybe do you think it? Okay, do you think that if they become a publisher, and they're just selling to other consoles, like. Again, the PlayStation. There's more PlayStations out there. There's more Switches out there. If they're selling to those instead of Xbox, which is kind of in third place in terms of console running, I mean, maybe that is just more money in their pockets in the long run. You know, like
not necessarily, because then you look at Sega. Sega made more money, like inflation wise, versus like if you look at like Sega, and you kind of gotta transverse it into apples and apples, oranges and oranges, because right now we're apples and oranges. So like. If you look at what Sega was doing in volume, but then they made a mistake. And this is almost like Xbox's Sega moment, where Nintendo even had this Sega moment. Mm-hmm. But you want to know what the difference between the Nintendo shareholders and not even the president actually put his neck out for everybody. Mm-hmm. Iwata put his neck out and cut his own salary while fighting cancer, took less money so that he could pay for the failure of the Wii U, so that these people still made money.
Which the Wii U was a failure, Dev, just so you remember.
That's a good boss. That's a good president. That's who you want running the company. And then I'll look at Nintendo. They got the Switch. They got banger after banger. Their first parties are slapping. They got their retro console ready to go. They're about to drop Switch 2-ish eventually.
Minus Pokemon.
Yeah, minus Legends Arceus.
We don't talk about Pokemon. Well, no. I want to play. I can't play Pokemon Red on my Switch. How does that make you feel? But
well,
we're not talking.
You can do that
today.
the day you drop that. That's a console seller though.
Yeah.
That you can do that. Be like, oh, and by the way, we're launching Switch 2, and you can play Red.
Super Switch. We hear the podcast call it the Super Switch.
Okay, the Super Switch.
That's the name. It's got to be the Super Switch. Just like the Nintendo Entertainment System to the Super Nintendo. But anyways,
it's just I can see where the money part comes from, and I can see them talking about this in a boardroom and being like, hey, these other two companies have way more consoles out there, and they want to play our games. If we put our games on there, we can dissolve our like.
Here's the thing: you're not keeping,
and just PS5s alone. There's 2 times as more PS5s in the wild than Xboxes, and for Switches, I'm sure there's 3 times as more. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing, right? And here's something you got to keep in mind when it comes to, like, so Xbox, the platform dies. Like, if Xbox goes to be a publisher, like, yes, they will make a lot of money by people buying their games on PlayStation.
But that's what matters to them.
But the thing you got to understand is that, and maybe this is just speculation. I'm not a businessman, like, and stuff like that. But if you have your own platform, right? You have the Xbox platform, and third parties come to your platform. And people buy a third-party game on your platform. Does the platform holder not take a cut from said game sale?
Sure, but
that's what I'm saying. Like, think about going from, hey, we're just selling our games to, hey, we're selling our games and also taking cuts from Square Enix and Ubisoft and EA and, 2K. Like, that's why PlayStation really wanted Call of Duty. So it's like Call of Duty highest selling, IP, yearly IP. And like every time someone buys a game on PlayStation, Phil Spencer said it himself, when we put games on PlayStation, 30% of that game's cut goes to PlayStation. PlayStation takes that money to turn around and get exclusives for their console. So that 30%, you are like, if you have no home platform, which I do think the Xbox ecosystem will die if there's no exclusives. Mm-hmm. There's very little keeping people unless you are a diehard of the ecosystem. If you're like, we saw with the Xbox One PS4 era, people were able to jump. They made that jump. A lot of people did. More people will jump to the PlayStation, like to the PS6 or whatever. PS5. People are going to buy a PS5 now. There are already people on Twitter who sold their Series X's yesterday and bought a PS5. I saw that.
But I do think that what you're saying right now,
like, you're giving up cuts, you're giving up shares. Yeah, in the long run, you're not making that kind of as much money as you could have been.
But I think that argument right there is another reason why they do it. You dissolve Xbox, now everyone has to go out and buy a PlayStation. Now PlayStations, there's going to be double what they have out in the wild now. I have to go get a PlayStation now if I want to play these games. PlayStation's numbers skyrocket, and then you still have to go buy the Xbox. But
Sony still takes 30% of your cut. Imagine that Xbox has nowhere. So, like, let's say, I don't know, I'm just going to throw a number out there. Let's say there's 20 million users in the Xbox ecosystem. Like, whatever. It's just a number.
I think it's 10 million, but still.
No, I think it's more. Because if you take into account, like, the Xbox One, and you take into account everything.
Gotcha.
Like, and again, it's just a number. I'm just pulling that number out of my ass. It's just an example. Let's say there's 20 million people in the Xbox ecosystem who are going to buy your first-party games. Like whatever first party game you want to pick, even if it's let's say Call of Duty, because a lot of people buy Call of Duty. In that 20 million, whoever buys Call of Duty from you in that 20 million, you are getting that 100% of that cut. Especially in today's digital landscape where there's no retailer, where there's no cut from Sony. It's just 100% of that $70 or the Game Pass subscription goes in Microsoft's pocket. Let's say now they go and they're gonna go to PlayStation. PlayStation's like, well, I'm taking 30% of your cut off of everything, and you're not getting that 30% that you're taking from the.
The reason your example right now doesn't work
parties
is because 100% of 20 million is still a lot less than 70% of 60 million.
But here's the thing, and
that's just PlayStation.
So to clarify, also, I do believe that I think it was fair and made a lot of sense for them as a business to keep Call of Duty multi-platform to pay for the Xbox business. I
agree with that.
So when I'm using Call of Duty, maybe that wasn't the right example because that's a game that I think they should have kept multi-platform regardless.
Let's say Halo. I think if you have an Xbox, you probably play Halo. Still 100% of 20 million is a lot less than 70% of 60 million. That's the numbers that they're looking at. They want to be the Tencent of America, and that's kind of where they're headed.
Yeah,
but it's almost like this is maybe
Tencent doesn't sell any consoles, and it's making probably billions every year.
So they just want passive income.
I mean, yeah.
They're like, all right, we'll take less, but I did see a thing that it's more about locking in consistent revenue streams than spiking and dropping.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to Dev's point that they're more looking for consistency, even if it is less. And it's like I think they're looking for consistency.
It's not
over
just consistency,
longer
but it is more money. Like it's just plain and simple. It is more money. There's so many more PlayStations out there. If let's not even count Nintendo. There's so many more PlayStations out there where like you sell to that, you more than double the profit already, just because Xbox consoles isn't selling as well. And I guess Game Pass isn't as big as a hit as it should be, I guess, because it's not sustainable. Like, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but it is more money. And at the end of the day, that's what this is about.
Yeah. And it's...
Yeah, definitely. And I understand
sucks.
that. And again, like, I'm purely, like, just kind of speculating my thoughts on it. But, like, yeah, no, I understand that if they strictly go publisher, like, yeah, they're going to make a lot of money. I understand that.
Yeah.
But that's not what matters to me.
No, absolutely.
At the end of the day,
it doesn't matter to anybody in the Xbox ecosystem. They don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about how much money you're making.
They absolutely don't want to hear that.
Like, I don't care, and I don't care that Ty, being the anti-consumer guy he is, I already know what his next thing is gonna say is like, but you gotta look at the bigger picture. Like, look, at the end of the day,
it's not what we want.
I'm a customer. And I'm part of that ecosystem. That well-being of that ecosystem is something that genuinely matters to me.
Well,
this move,
I don't give a fuck if you're gonna make more money being a publisher.
Yeah, I agree. But
that doesn't matter to me.
More than doubles their profits.
Sure.
And it's just
so now you got to sit at which seat. You no longer get to have your chair. Right. You now have two chairs, and they're both shittier than your previous nice chair. You know, that's kind of where you're looking at now. Do you want Xbox to live and make money, or do you want it to
it'll just live on
die, go kicking and screaming and into the console?
Yeah,
with the console, go down with this console.
Yeah,
and you know, as a fan,
let's say, look, even if I think they know that Xbox fans are like striking, like,
oh yeah,
your money's gonna put your money where your mouth is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say no Xbox fans ever buys an Xbox developer game, you still have 60 million PS5s out in the wild and PlayStation players who are gonna. There's only 15 million Xboxes. You lose 15 million fans. You gain 60 million more. Everything about this is numbers and money. It is just like,
yeah. No, it is, because when you bring into the fact that they're gonna just develop for the amount of the hardware, so it's almost like they're stepping back. They're like, look, our hardware sucks. We're giving up on our hardware.
It feels like a musical artist who, instead of doing like their niche country thing, they're gonna go do pop music and make triple the money. You're gonna lose your entire fan base that you have, but you're gonna get a whole new fan base of more money. They're selling out, but like that's
exactly what there is. They're selling out.
Yeah, but they don't care about their.
Yeah, they don't. They literally giant middle finger to the people that have supported them for years and told you flat out that whatever they say next week, if it's like, oh yeah, we are doing multi-platform, they're literally telling you that all your loyalty meant nothing, and that's why people are mad. Because you're literally being told, like, you were a number to us the whole time. Like, who's going to feel good about that?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, I supported you. I went to bat for you.
It's just, the unfortunate thing is...
This is America.
It's like, the unfortunate thing is that Xbox is in third place. If Xbox wasn't in third place, or at least it was a closer, I don't think this would be happening. I think they would stay in for the run. It's just
sure. So yeah, let's move on, because we are going to retread a lot of stuff, but it's okay. I wanted to let it flow because I don't want to miss anything. So after that all happens, and Tom Warren tweets that, a bunch of Xbox influencers begin to hear the same things that from their sources at Xbox. At this point, Xbox was trending number 2 overall on Twitter, only behind the Grammys. That was happening. So like, we're talking a Sunday night at.
I didn't even know about the Grammys. I knew about this Xbox thing, though.
Exactly.
You know what's funny? I got all my news from this from you and Ty. Just link after link after link.
I do, yeah. I'm just like, yeah, that's.
Oh, this is horrible.
Yeah, it won't stop. So all of this is going on. Colt Eastwood, who we're going to be using a lot of his information, really one of the better he's probably like the best. Him and the Xbox 2 are honestly like my 2 favorite content creators in the Xbox ecosystem. But so Colt hears from his sources, like, if you're an Xbox fan, keep your eyes and ears ready for tomorrow, which would have been Monday. So naturally, while I was at work all day, I was on my phone waiting to hear from Xbox.
Maybe don't admit that. Your boss is watching.
So mind you, we're still
I mean, I was working hard.
Oh, I mean, hey, no, I had a great day. All my numbers were great. So
there you go.
Whatever. What are you gonna do? So what happens next? And mind me, we're still on Sunday night. This is all happening within a span of like an hour or two. Tim Dog, who's a well-known Xbox insider, says he will no longer be part of the Xbox community going forward if what he's heard about them going multi-plat comes to pass. He is one of the first few that kind of get that ball rolling, where the Xbox community, the content creators, obviously very upset. Tim goes on a show, just some things that he heard from some of his sources. Now, keep in mind, it's important to remember that all of this is still rumored. Nothing is set in stone. The whole reason that all of this leaked was because the people at Xbox don't like that it might happen.
That makes sense.
They're trying to weaponize the fan base to help the Xbox side of things. So, Tim Dog explains why Microsoft made this decision to go third party. Here's the bullet points. Tim heard that Call of Duty may not be coming to Game Pass at all. Which that's insane. Hardware,
not even older Call of Duty, just that's the brand.
I think it means like the newer Call of Duties. Hardware sales have not met the projected sales, and the CFO got spooked. So again, this is coming from someone above Xbox. It's the CFO. I want to go through
each one because I do like.
Okay, we can stop and talk about them
because I do think that is. Again, I think that's something you do say, and it is true.
By the way, you see why I threw the rest of the script out, right?
Yeah, no, this
is what I'm talking about.
Because I think that's the defeating part of this is like everything you're reading, it is true. Like it's facts. It's Xbox is in third place. It used that to get Activision Blizzard. That was like a selling point. Like, hey, we're in third place. If we buy this, we're not like we're competing. It's just facts.
Yeah. With the hardware sales, I mean, the CFO getting spooked. It's just like, again, you don't know how the games industry works, dude. Like that's just. In the last 3 months of last year, they had consoles for $350, and it didn't really move numbers much. Xbox One was more wanted than Series consoles. I blame Xbox for that, though, to be fair, because it's like you guys made it really clear that if you're going all in on your ecosystem, like yes, your console hardware sales are going to be down. If you made a clear cutoff for that Xbox One user base, a lot of them would have bought a Series X or an S. If you weren't going day and date with PC, a lot of those people would buy a Series X and an S. Your hardware sales aren't down because you're in third place. Your hardware sales are down because you've changed your message. At least that's my opinion on it.
Well, that was a big thing, was that he kept, and there was one of the things I was watching was that he keeps changing his message.
Yeah.
And then it's also like
Phil Spencer, yes.
Yeah, and it's also just like, bro, also you can't keep just saying the future, the future, the future, the future, the future.
Future's now, old man.
Yeah, I know, right? Do something. Like
so continuing on with what Tim heard from his sources at Xbox. At Xbox. It's at Xbox. No one on Microsoft side cares about this. Game Pass is unsustainable. The market they have is not enough to offset the cost. Tim heard from someone at Microsoft that you may not like Xbox when they get Activision. They want return on investments. He also goes on to say that he heard that Xbox has an insane showcase with tons of games, but everyone's going to say there's asterisks to these games when they show these games. So that he's saying that they have so many titles that they could just unload to show people, like from Bethesda, from the Xbox, game studios, from Activision. But like people are going to be like, well, it's an Activision game. That's how I interpret that anyway.
It's like looking to the future. No, have you learned nothing?
Again, Tim says the leaks happen because he says Microsoft employee, the wording of this, but it's Xbox. Someone from Xbox didn't want this to happen, leaked it so there would be public outcry. Microsoft now has no problem buying more companies in the future if they go third party. So here's the thing, right? Maybe the FTC and the CMA were onto something. But not in the way anyone thought. Because, here's the thing. If Xbox does go third party, they will absolutely be able to gobble up the rest of the publishers in gaming. They will.
Yeah, they're going to.
Because they're going to be hey, what do you mean? There's no monopoly. We're selling everywhere.
Yeah.
That, and
wait, no,
that
so
also
it's not even.
Concerning.
So it's just an evil plan. They're just evil.
It's Microsoft, yeah. Tim thinks they will go all digital with ads on Game Pass, pre-roll or at the end of a chapter, etc., etc. And AI community managers.
I would honestly be okay. I mean, we talked about this. I use YouTube for free. I would be okay with ads before and after.
I'd be okay as long as there's a tier that lets me pay to not have ads.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my thought. I don't like ads. I don't want ads. I pay so I don't have ads on YouTube.
Same.
I pay for Game Pass Ultimate because it's the premium. The things I care the most about, I'm willing to pay a premium price to get the premium experience.
There will be that. And actually, on this Game Pass thing, right before I got here, you and Ty were talking about if there was a tier for day and date games on Game Pass, would you?
I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd absolutely be like. I'm all for, and like I'm gonna run through that scenario because I thought it was a good one because Forrest didn't see it, so we'll run through it and we'll give our thoughts when we get there. So that was the stuff that Tim had heard, and he mentioned that on the podcast he showed up on Sunday night, and that was Sunday night. So Monday, admittedly
it gets worse.
It got worse. So an indie dev. Not you, but a developer, made a really interesting tweet. So this is Brock the Investigator. It looks like it's a game about an alligator, and I don't know. Regardless, it's an indie developer.
Brock the Croc.
Brock the Croc. Are we assisting the end of Xbox as a hardware platform, transforming into a weird mix of software platform and third party? If the only reason for players to buy an Xbox is Game Pass, why would an indie like me port his games if I can't get them onto Game Pass? He goes on to clarify, I see a lot of people are retweeting, I wanted to have my latest game on Game Pass, but was denied. The reason given was slots are limited on Game Pass. So they can't just add an infinite number of Game Pass games. So they did. This guy tried to get his game on Game Pass. They said, sorry, we have too many, like our slots are filled up. So there are no open slots for you to put your game on Game Pass. So if you can't get your game on Game Pass and there's nobody in the ecosystem buying games, why would you put your game on Xbox?
Yeah.
And this is my whole point of like, this is the beginning of the death of the brand where third parties will lose interest as time goes on. It costs money to put a game somewhere. Doesn't matter, like whatever different platform it is, it costs money to do that. At what point does Ubisoft say, man, it is just not worth it for me to put Assassin's Creed on Xbox?
Yeah.
And that's how the brand dies.
Yeah.
You whittle away. Customers go down. Third parties putting their games there, on that platform go down. And like that's how the brand dies.
And also, how long until the studios they bought just buy themselves back out?
The thing is,
I don't think they can do that.
If they do this, they're gonna make way more money than like the brands aren't going anywhere. Like there's nothing they can do.
I think the Xbox brand absolutely like
Xbox will be a name of the publishing company. That's what it's gonna become.
They're gonna be a Bandai Namco.
That's what I'm saying though. Like the brand will die though effectively. Like
yeah.
You don't see people walking around with like Ubisoft shirts.
Yeah, no.
Like man, I'm a Ubisoft guy. Like that doesn't happen. Like no, I'm an Assassin's Creed guy. Like you lose that brand, you lose that market share, you lose that identity, and like you lose that. And you lose customers. I mean, like yes, you'll gain customers elsewhere, but you just do. Let's see. So finally, we do get a tweet from Phil Spencer later in the day. Phil's tweet says, "We're listening and we hear you."
Bullshit!
We've been planning a business update event for next week where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned.
Future of Xbox!
It's going to be so painful for them to paint this as a positive thing.
So here's the thing, right? Like when they tweet
Can we watch that live?
When they tweet this, I don't know. I might as of right now. I think I'm off on Monday. I'm hoping they just fucking get it over with and do it on Monday. Like I don't want to fucking wait for this shit. Please.
I want to cringe the whole time I watch.
So here's the thing, right? So Xbox, they're gonna do this. Phil Spencer's tweet gives no confidence to the game community, to the Xbox community. There's no denial at all. It's just not good. It's a very blanket statement, just not great. And also like we're planning a business update event. It's like, well, the business side of people aren't really upset about this. It's more so your customers. Like, as a customer, I don't fucking care about a business event update. Like, I want to know that like where I've spent my money as a customer is being respected. But anyways, that's Phil's tweet. That's all we get. And we do get some news throughout the day. So this event that's happening next week was originally planned for the 20th of this month. But now Xbox is rushing to figure things out to stop the bleeding that is that is currently going on with the fan base. Fan base is crumbling. Colt Eastwood does say that he will do a podcast yesterday night, and he will reveal some more information from what he's heard. So I'm going to run through this. This is a recap of everything he mentions that was heard. I just realized that some of it I actually didn't put before this, but it's good I'm mentioning it now. So he talks about what a lot of the insiders had heard. Nate the Hate, who is a reputable source, heard about the Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves stuff. Gaz on Daily, who is another part of the Xbox community, heard that Hellblade was already being worked on to be ported, Hellblade 2. The source that told him this was worried about getting caught, so he kind of like told him to hold off, but now it's just like, well, fuck it, it's out there. Yeah. So Jeff Grubb, which we talk about a lot, he's hearing from his sources that Gears of War is getting ported to PlayStation. For me, that's the real knife in the gut for me, because it's like Gears of War was what brought me to the Xbox ecosystem. So to port that, for me, that's the like, it's over. Dog.
No, yeah,
it's over, dog. Like, that's the moment. Like, a lot of people say it's Halo for them, and like, I love Halo.
For me, it's Halo.
But for me, it's Gears of War. You put Gears of War on PlayStation, it's just like, so your brand is effectively dying. Like, we are entering the end of your brand and your ecosystem.
It's like if Master Chief is the Mario, Gears of War is the Donkey Kong of.
I would say Zelda.
You would say Zelda.
I would say Zelda. I think Gears of War is the Zelda of Xbox, which is really ironic. I'm not even saying it because they're my favorites, but like, yes, Gears of War is the Zelda of Xbox, in my opinion. So, and then he goes on to say Xbox era reported Starfield, The Verge heard Indiana Jones. Some other news that came out: Game Pass will not be on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. This is not something that either of those platforms are going to allow. So at this point, if you're losing exclusives and you're not taking your service to those platforms, your service will die. Game Pass will die along with the Xbox brand. And again, like, and we talked about this where it's like, oh, look, I'm not naive. I understand that games are changing. And I said, it's funny because I said this on Ty's podcast as well, where I was like, we're entering a new era of gaming where like a lot of people, including myself, are going to be very upset about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But my thing is that I think that at this point you're just setting yourself up to just lose your ecosystem and your brand. That's a shame. It's really disheartening, and it really sucks because if no one's going to want to go to Game Pass, like, and here's another thought that I had, like, third party. So obviously Game Pass is great because the first party shows up day and date, but like, is the first party alone enough to justify Game Pass? Because keep in mind, if Game Pass is stuck off of those other platforms and third parties stop going to Xbox as an ecosystem, those games are also not going to be on Game Pass.
Yeah, you're right.
So Game Pass will die. Like, again, if you give up on your Xbox brand, then you are effectively giving up on Game Pass in the long. Like, it may not die immediately, but it will die.
No, yeah, you're right.
Like, that's just what it is.
Yeah, so they're not even going for a Netflix model. Then they're just going Sega.
Yeah. Other things, again, so Colt says that there's a lot of infighting going on. His co-host Mag says that devs are pushing for sales-related bonuses. This is from the Bethesda side. So basically, Bethesda, the developers there, the way Bethesda works is that, like, you hit a sales goal, you get a bonus at the end of the year, a big bonus. And so apparently some of the developers in Bethesda, because of Game Pass, Xbox does not track software sales for first party. That's just something that they don't track.
Which is
weird.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Game Pass muddies that for them. They track Game Pass subscriptions. That's the number that they really care about right now. So because of that, it's very hard. They don't get this bonus anymore. So apparently devs are, and that, like, the Bethesda devs are some of the people that are pushing to go multi-platform again so they can make their sales so they can get their bonuses. Fuck that. You work for Microsoft. Microsoft should take care of you.
Well, that's just more of the big business being shit.
Oh, we got Kenwall here. What's up, Ken? How you doing, man? Yeah, but so what were we saying? I'm sorry, go ahead.
But that's more big business being shit. Like, you're literally not taking care of your employees now.
Right.
On top of this shit.
Yeah.
So, what the fuck? Like, you're literally missing...
Yeah, you're not taking care of the developers. The developers want their bonuses that they're not getting. That's why they want to go
multi-platform. Because you won't put it in a metric to check. You won't just check it. Like, shit, you could hire somebody for fucking 3 days.
At least change it to maybe like hours this game is played or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
or even just hire an intern to count.
Yeah.
Like it's oh God forbid.
It's like how many downloads? Here's the thing. I think they should look at downloads. If you're going to an all digital future, just look at downloads.
That too, but like I think
why not?
I think they should do more hours. How many hours have people played this game? Because again, Game Pass, you're not buying the game. You buy the service.
But here's
you
the
play
thing.
any game you want. It doesn't matter.
Here's the thing. They don't actually want to pay them these bonuses anyway.
No, I mean sure, but like you can't count. A lot of people on Xbox have Game Pass now, right?
Yeah.
It's just like no one's buying these games now. They're going to Game Pass, they're buying the Game Pass subscription, and they're playing hours and hours of.
Hold on, go to YouTube. Whatever. Put this guy on timeout. I'm not dealing with this guy today. I'm serious. Give him a 30-second timeout. Put Ty on timeout.
Ty, you can't talk for 30 seconds. I won't time you out, but
he's gonna talk, so you're gonna have to time him out.
Go ahead.
So other things that were going on is that people inside Xbox wanted this information out there. Leakers were asked to do this. There is legitimate internal conflict at Xbox. So
I believe that.
The quotes that were used by Mag and Colt were "shake the cages." This news was put out there to shake the cages, and Colt kind of coined it as a quasi coup. Where it's just like Mag was saying on the podcast, he's like, he had this information for like a day or two, and he was told to hold off on it. And then he was told, I think he said either Sunday morning, it was like Sunday morning or Monday morning. His source was like, go, do it. Like now, like pull that trigger.
Bro, hold on. I want to.
Ty does want all the smoke. And
apparently, now he's starting with me. Like, this Farce guy is so anti-corporation. Yeah, I am, because when you're pro-corporation, you're anti-people. So that's my stance.
You know what, Forrest? Actually, I want to ask you this real quick. We're going on a little tangent because Ty and I got into a huge fight on the Discord, and you didn't really partake in it, which was probably great for you.
Okay.
Do you think that game reviews should be available when a game launches so that way customers can make a smart decision on their purchases? Yeah. When a game launches, day one, say the game launches February 6th, do you think your reviews should be available February 6th? Ty doesn't think so.
Why? So that you buy the game and it's shit, and then
because Ty's like, oh, but the reviewers are entitled. Like,
who cares? So is the fucking rich people that made the fucking game and own the thing. They're just as entitled. The whole reason this is all happening is because they're entitled. It's greed. Corporations are greed.
That's what I'm saying, man. Ty.
Like we're literally talking about a community dying. And you're out here just going, but the corporations are gonna make so much money, sweetie. Like, fuck off. Like, get out of here, man. Like, go blow off the fucking CEO's limousine.
That Microsoft check cash. Ty's over in Ireland living.
But it up, for real though, like, dude, he's not wrong though. That's the thing that sucks.
I see his
me
check
or him
cash too. Dev just looked at his phone like, "Alright, the check cash." No, Ty was right all along.
It just sucks because they're going to do this and they're going to make so much money.
But here's the thing. Here's my thing. If you're gonna do this, say it from the fucking beginning and say it with your fucking chest.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, we're gonna dick you over down the
say that. Like, hey, eventually we're gonna go third party.
That's what I want.
Just be honest.
I mean, just be honest.
But here's the problem:
they're doing it now. It's just...
that's the other thing. The problem is that Xbox didn't want to do this. This is coming from Microsoft. I don't think I put it in my notes, but Colt said that something changed over the last 60 to 90 days. This is a recent thing.
This is
all right. Now you got to put.
You're a shareholder.
This
is bullshit. That's bias.
No, this is not a recent thing.
He's a shareholder.
Wait, listen. This is a recent public thing. They knew they were going to do this before they bought Activision Blizzard.
Exactly.
They were sitting at the table. This was all part of their plan.
I think maybe Microsoft, but I don't know about the Xbox.
I don't think anybody was there too. Apparently.
But no, that's what I mean.
He's like, fuck them.
They knew all along. They knew last year, maybe 2 years ago, whenever this started. When you're paying $70 billion for this, you know what you're doing from the beginning.
Yeah.
Microsoft said, "Oh, Xbox, we'll give you $70 billion to acquire this, but you're gonna be our bitch later." Like,
so continuing on, Colt does say one of the last things he puts out. Oh no, this is one of the last things. Morale at Xbox Game Studios is very low, which is why people are reaching out. So Xbox Game Studios morale is really low. People are like, we need to stop this from happening. He does kind of speculate about Game Pass changes, and I was kind of unclear on this pod on his pod whether these were things that people told him or things that people that were speculating to him. But ads being added to lower tiers of Game Pass, first party only coming to Game Pass Ultimate, COD would be on a 6-month delay, which if you play Call of Duty, you know that like 6 months later, like a lot of people drop off of COD at 6 months. There's not a lot of value in getting a Call of Duty title 6 months after launch on Game Pass. That 6 months is like the key when you're playing the game. After that, it's like it dips dramatically. Here's some news though. So he did also hear from his sources about the next generation of Xbox consoles. Jez Corden did point out that confirmed that these were greenlit a week ago. But so it's a multi-SKU, so there's going to be 2 versions of the console. And Dev, I do want to get your take on this.
I already have a take, but go ahead.
I know.
Xbox Switch.
So there's 2 versions. The first one is going to be a traditional box under your TV, a Series X, like console. And then the other one's going to be a cheaper SKU. It's going to be a dockable console. It's being worked on by the Microsoft Surface team. Basically, it's going to be a Switch. Now, keep in mind, these consoles are going to be hybrid between cloud and stuff like that as well. So, Dev, I want to get your thoughts on Xbox basically doing a Steam Deck / Switch because what are your thoughts?
It's done. It's already out. They already have Windows 11 handhelds
with the ROG Ally, right?
With the ROG Ally, they just announced one last year. There's like 6 of them that are pretty popular right now that are already out. They're Windows 11 handhelds, and Windows 11 is just Xbox. It's already done. Okay. And this is slated to come out 2025.
This is where they're going to double down.
2026. It's done, and
it's the next generation of Xbox.
And that's 2 years from now. By then, there's going to be more of them. The Steam Deck 2 will probably be out by then. This is already done.
So you think it's a bad idea out the gate?
It's not that it's a bad idea. It's just pointless. And then at this point, you're already giving up your brand. Your console doesn't have any exclusives anymore. Like, it's everywhere.
The Game Pass is just for the Microsoft.
Exactly.
Thing,
why would I would just get a Windows 11 handheld? It's already done. I can already.
I'll just get a PlayStation and a Windows Phone.
Yeah.
And on
Windows Phone is Microsoft.
But like,
so.
but on Windows 11 handheld, you can play Steam as well. It has everything. It's a computer in a handheld system. It's already done. You're already too late.
Yeah.
Then.
It's too
late. That's what Microsoft.
That's not exciting at all.
But that makes me feel like that's why they're pushing Xbox out to be like, no, you're just gonna make games. You're gonna make games for our little. Fancy.
They are. They're gonna be a publisher. That's it.
Yeah, they're getting pushed out, and then
the thing is,
the Game Pass will live on the Microsoft thingy.
But it can live on my laptop. It can live on another Windows 11 handheld that's probably cheaper and stronger. It's been in development. They're working on this now. There are ones that are out there today. You can go buy them, and they're still upgrading them over the years.
Yeah,
it's too late.
So there's no point in it. There's really, because they double dipped. There's no point in an Xbox period.
No, yeah, it's too late. It is what it is.
And they've been killing their brand actively the whole time.
So to clarify, Ken, I understand that like Call of Duty remains popular throughout the whole year. I'm not saying that it's a complete drop off, but I'm just saying like 6 months, that first 6 months, as someone who buys Call of Duty every year and plays it, there like even if the numbers don't really show it, like there is a drop off of interest. Like I have friends who when the game launches, there's like 12 of us, and then by the 4 or 5 month mark, we're down to like 5 or 6 that are like interested in the game. Like I understand the numbers might not show it, but in my opinion, as someone who's playing these games, like not getting Call of Duty day and day, like that first 6 months is the most important part of the experience. And at least again, I've been buying them every year, so that's just my experience. It's not not coming to day one Game Pass is just it's I think it's absurd.
I mean, yeah. So Ty says they'll subsidize the prices like they do for all consoles. Yes, if they can make a strong enough handheld to be cheaper, I could see people going to it. But it has to be Windows 11. It can't be an Xbox handheld.
I think it's going to be an Xbox handheld.
If it's an Xbox handheld, there's no point in getting it. I would spend the more money to be able to play Steam games.
Yeah,
like it just feels too late and not like
it's the exact same argument that they used to have with the PC.
Mm-hmm.
A PC is more expensive, but you can play
everything.
Yeah.
Buy
and
a
now
PC.
With PlayStation coming to PC eventually, you can just buy that too. Like it has to be a Windows 11 handheld. If it's an Xbox handheld, even at a cheaper price, I think most people would spend the extra money to just get a Windows 11 handheld. And who knows if the Steam Deck who knows what the Steam Deck 2 is going to do? Like it doesn't make sense to me to do this now.
You know what's wild? We're gonna live in the time where so I love pointing out when history is gonna repeat itself, and when it does, we're literally about to see Sega Saturn and the N64 happen again, but with Xbox as Sega.
I wish I thought that way. I think.
Well, no, they'll try with this handheld, and then it'll flop.
Oh, you mean for the handheld? Yeah, like.
And then we're gonna see Sega Saturn was the death of Sega.
Consoles. Microsoft has deep pockets. It's not gonna hurt them that much.
No, because they're gonna be making all this money off of their whatever bullshit we've already went over.
So, all right. The last thing, and so this was actually bigger news. You actually clicked off after this point, I believe.
Oh, maybe? I fell asleep at one point.
Yeah, because I knew you...
I went back in, though.
I appreciated you watching because you knew you were going to be on the show, and I really appreciated that. But, so, later in the show, Mag, he gets off, and Colt's at the point where he's just reading Super Chats.
Oh, and the 3 dudes pop in.
Two of his other friends come in, they're just kind of hanging out.
That's actually when I woke back up.
Colt gets a text. Or no, he says that he should
I saw
He's like, I should have checked my DMs before I went live. He texted one of his sources. Now, Colt was very animate when he said, like, when I talk about people I trust, like, this is someone who, like, I trust more than my, like, most. Like, very highly trusted for Colt Eastwood. He texted this person saying, sleep well. What a crappy week. The person responded, and this is a quote, next week will be better, LOL. Don't believe everything you've read, exclamation point.
Okay.
And this is someone that Colt Eastwood, like, you can even see it. Like, I was watching it, and, like, you could see Colt look down, and his eyes, like, widen. Like, he's like, what? And so, again, like, the thing about the Xbox community, and we could sit here and be like, whether you think it's a positive or a negative with how in tune the Xbox brand is with its community, this is somewhere where it's a positive, where when Xbox content creators and influencers are saying stuff, you believe them because they talk to these people. Jez Corden from Windows Central talks to people at Xbox and Blizzard and stuff like that.
Yeah, all these, and like
these people aren't lying. Yeah, they're not making stuff up. Yeah. Like, this is like,
whether or not the information they're getting is true, they themselves are not lying.
Like, you think it's a coincidence that, like, 10 minutes apart, Xbox Era and The Verge both had different articles about different games go out? Like, no, it's Aaron Greenberg is the snitch. I'll be talking to the board of directors. Put this man on time out. I've had it.
I don't need no corporate shills out here.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, we got Kenwall here. We got a few other people here that are watching right now. Like,
we don't need Ty.
Put him on timeout. Look, Dev, you got to do it.
We're gonna change it from timeout to tie out.
Yeah,
okay?
Dev, put him on timeout. Go to the chat.
I don't want to do that.
No, it's all right.
He'll spend one crypto coin to get back.
Your
crypto coin is in the mail. Dev.
Give him 30 seconds. Like, just show him that we have the power.
I got timed out last week. What the fuck?
Yeah, right. That's
like
what
a
I'm
corporation
saying
right now. Stop.
No, do it.
This is what he wants.
You're becoming what you hate the most.
You either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. Need to get him out of here, Kip. All right. Anyways, so yeah, that was the stuff with Colt. I look at that text as like a glimmer of hope. Like, and maybe it's wrong to do it, but you know what? What else am I doing this week? So I was like, you know what? I'll take it as a glimmer of hope. Especially where it's like, it'll be better. It's not like, don't believe everything. So that means something here, I don't know what exactly, but some of this stuff
is an exaggeration.
Or isn't happening.
Well, it's also probably like, so think about like when you get like when somebody's gonna quit or something weird happens at work and you like work everybody around you into a tizzy.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of what we're hearing right now.
Yeah. And I think that it's also, again, it's important to remember that this stuff went out there.
I don't believe it until I see it, because everything I've heard so far, if I'm an executive at Microsoft, everything I've heard so far makes more sense to put money in my pocket.
But the problem is PR headaches are still PR headaches.
Yeah, but like,
yeah, but also
you can stuff a couple dollars in your ear and not hear anything. Like, it's just one of those things where like everything I've heard so far.
That's what Ty does. He doesn't listen to us. He puts money in his ear.
Yeah, right.
It just yeah. So that's the scary part of it, because it's like, damn, this makes sense to make more money for Microsoft and Xbox, or for Microsoft. I mean, like,
yeah,
it just.
The problem is also it's bad for the games industry as a whole, which we'll get into later.
Okay, because those are the two things where it's like, what two things are the scariest about it? You lose an ecosystem, and it's bad for gaming.
It's terrible for competition. Anyone that says
it's bad for gaming.
Anyone that says this is good for gaming, like, I'm sorry, like,
it's a bad precedent.
Like,
it's 100%.
You don't care about the health of the video game industry.
For competition, absolutely.
Yeah, you just don't care. Just say you don't care at that point. So
say it with your chest.
Exactly. So yeah, here we are. Another thing that I had saw from one of the Xbox influencers, I really should have wrote this one down, was that there was a round table meeting at Microsoft. I want to say it was this morning. No, it was yesterday. There was one yesterday, I believe. It was either yesterday or this morning, and it was like Xbox, Bethesda, Activision, Microsoft sitting down and like trying to figure this stuff out. What they'll do, we don't know yet. But we'll see as we go on. Maybe we have some ideas. So now we're all caught up. Let's just go into some like talking points and stuff like that. I think that Xbox did something. One of the worst things about all of this was the lack of communication. I think Xbox did an absolute disservice to its fans and customers. When all this started going down weeks ago with the Sea of Thieves stuff and the Hi-Fi Rush stuff, that was an opportunity for Xbox to kind of come out and own the narrative and say, not own the narrative, but like own up to it. Where it's like, yes, we are doing this. We will give more details at a later time. But instead, they let it fester. And then on Sunday, you get this stuff with the Starfield stuff, and you get the Indiana Jones stuff, and then all of a sudden, the community goes just nuclear. Tweet I liked from Genbox360. I believe she works at Windows Central. Whichever side of the coin you fall on with this exclusivity stuff, the damage that's being done to the community and how this has been allowed to spiral over the past few weeks is hugely irresponsible of the Xbox leadership. A fan base has been purposely built and it's crumbling.
And I think the reason they don't say anything is because some of it is true. Some of it is true, and they can't.
They come out and say,
they can't outright and say like, oh, that stuff isn't true. If it was false, they would have said that already.
Yeah, because they don't want to be caught lying.
Yeah, also, exactly.
Yeah.
Also,
but still, you got to come out and say stuff.
But also, they're the type of there's this energy that they're doing. If any of this is true, which majority of it probably is, they're probably the same people that say any press is good press. Mm-hmm. So they're like, think of all these people that are talking about Xbox now, and that's really what they wanted. Yeah. So they're getting a bunch of attention. Because that's what they want.
So, I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but I jotted down, again, this was stuff that, like, I told him before you got here, but since, Ken and Ty and I have spoken on that show on Sunday, the only things that I have legitimately done with my life.
It's good work.
Eating, working, trying to sleep, not sleeping, but trying to sleep.
Attempts were made.
And then being on Twitter doing this. I haven't done anything else. I came home yesterday. I think I got home from work at like 5, and from 5 to 12:30 it was just this because I hate myself. I don't have a reason.
I was like,
it's important to me. It's important to me. We'll just say that.
Well, that's kind of the if that's not a good picture of like what.
And I'm
assuming you're not the only.
No, that's what I'm saying. I know I'm not alone because I was talking to people on Twitter. While I was on Twitter, I was talking to people.
Yeah,
I had a really nice conversation with this one guy. Shout out to that guy. I don't have his Twitter handle in front of me. Like we started off like kind of like standoffish.
Hey, that one guy. You know who you are.
We started off like really standoffish because he was like, "Those are just rumors. This isn't happening." And I was like, "Dude, you should voice your displeasure now, not after it gets set in stone." That's the whole point. Like, make it known that you're upset with it now. Maybe it changes, maybe it doesn't, but at least you could say, like, if Xbox comes out and still does it, at least I could say, I did everything I could do as a consumer, as a part of the community, as part of the brand. Like, I did everything I could to voice my displeasure to stop it. Outside of paying with my wallet, which we'll get to that after it happens.
I swear to God, Ty works in a business room. Like, I swear.
I don't know what Ty does for a living, to be honest.
The thing he says, the stuff he says, I'm just like, bro, you're in there. You're actually there, aren't you?
Ty is very anti-consumer. I have learned that through our conversations. I love having conversations with this guy. Like, Ty, you're a very smart guy, and like I love shooting the shit with you. I love chilling with you. This guy is a very anti-consumer guy. It is what it is. It's just
what was that? What's the one? Ready Player One, where the one company owns everything?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's his dream world.
Yeah. Ty is that guy in that movie.
Find the code.
So, anyways, why I think this could lead to the death of Xbox as a brand. We kind of talked about a little bit, but again, I've just been jotting thoughts down. So you get rid of your exclusives. You lose customers to PlayStation because why wouldn't you lose customers to PlayStation? Like, you have two boxes. One has all the Xbox games, and one has all the PlayStation and all the Xbox games. Why aren't you getting the PlayStation? Like, if you're not super locked in on the ecosystem, why aren't you getting a PlayStation at that point?
Absolutely.
Like, there's no point. There's no logic behind it. Like,
unless you're staying on PC, why wouldn't you not get a PlayStation? If you're a console gamer,
Yeah, if you're a console gamer, you like, why aren't you getting a PlayStation at that point? So the Xbox customer base will dwindle. Third parties will pull support due to low customer base. The Xbox console will sell even less than they do now because there's nothing enticing to bringing them to the console. Third parties abandon it. Game Pass will collapse when there's no third party support and there's no customers. Sony will charge you now more than they do.
That was another thing.
If you think this is good, and this is my point, if you think that Xbox going away is good, then I really, from the bottom of my heart, hope you enjoy paying like $100+ for your standard digital edition video games.
Yeah,
like that's the future.
That was the one thing that somebody pointed out was
$1,000 consoles.
They keep
the future.
each other in check.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if Xbox is in first place or not.
The Xbox One, hey, we're going to be all digital. If you want to share your games with friends, you have to do this whole digital bullshit or whatever. Mm-hmm. Sony made a joke about it, and Xbox had to backtrack.
Yeah, they keep each other in check. Yeah, absolutely, it's what it is.
It's a back and forth, and no, absolutely.
And competition makes everyone stronger.
Nintendo is an outlier, but
But that's also because Nintendo just sits there and does whatever they want.
Yeah,
well, it's because Nintendo.
So
here's the thing:
we got Mario, we don't care.
Nintendo is competition.
They're competition, but at the end of the day, Nintendo is technically the leading market. They're number one.
Yeah, Nintendo.
They can do whatever they want.
And that's the thing: is Nintendo is Nintendo.
Yeah.
And that's kind of always the thing. Is Xbox should have aimed to be the one that you know how Nintendo is. We always say you have a PlayStation and a Nintendo, or you have an Xbox and a Nintendo. Yeah. They should have, and you know where that comes from. It comes from that strong IP exclusive database,
right.
And Xbox dropped the ball on that. And they continue to just say the future, the future, the future, the future. Okay, well, shut down in the meantime. How about that? Then go focus on your future. You can't be saying all this crap, and it means nothing now, especially now.
The problem is, though, you can say, hey, this is the vision, and we're going to work towards it, and, well, that's the plan. And, again, that's why a lot of Xbox gamers, myself included, were okay, well, they have a vision, and they're working on it. Again, games take time. I'm not going to sit here and expect a turnaround in a year or two. That's not truthful. It's not, I'd be delusional if I thought Xbox was going to have a steady flow of games by, 2018.
But
that was
the
delusional.
thing, though. Yeah, definitely. But here's the thing, though. You would think that Microsoft would pump them, give them some more, help them out more. But instead, they're actually doing they're almost cannibalizing them.
Well, that's the problem. Now they are.
They're eating them.
Yeah.
Instead of...
I was going to say, to answer your question, Ty, Xbox itself won't die as a brand. It'll become a publisher. I think what Rome means when he says it'll die, it's the current Xbox ecosystem that's going to die. It's Xbox as we know it. If they do this, will be something completely different than the Xbox that we know today.
So the example the example I used on Ty's show, and it's funny because Kenwell is from PA actually. I think Allentown. I don't know if I'm
Docs.
His
address is
no. Well, I'm not saying I don't know.
And it's under the mat. No.
He's Allentown, Philadelphia. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But so regardless, he's from here, so he recognized my Eagles hoodies and my Phillies hoodies and stuff like that. And I keep using sports talk with Ty, who's from Ireland, and he's just he clearly doesn't get what I'm talking about. But it's just when I'm I am a Philadelphia Phillies fan, for example, right? You will never see me walking around with an MLB hoodie. I'm man, I sure do love the Major League Baseball. No, you pick a team, you get your team. That's just human. You fall in love with the brand.
I mean, that's what sports is all about.
Exactly, it's the same thing.
Also, I noticed you keep going to the green ones.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny? I actually realized that a couple years back. I was
even Link is green. Everything
yes.
is green.
My favorite band, Green Day.
Oh my god.
No, it's
It gets worse.
It's insane how true it is. And I was just that was the thing. When I was a kid, red was my favorite color, and then at some point I was you know what? Everything I love is green.
Bulbasaur kind of slaps.
Well, no, Charmander is still my favorite, but yeah, green. It's always green for some reason. I don't mean to do that. But anyways,
it's just people, this is a complete rebranding of what Xbox is, and that's what dies.
Here's the thing, like I said earlier, how many people go around saying I'm a Ubisoft guy? That's just not sure. I'm sure there's somebody out there, but that's not really a thing.
He talks to no one.
Yeah, exactly. Like
he's just saying it to himself in the mirror every morning when he wakes
like,
up.
hey guys, I'm a Capcom guy. Like,
oh, actually, no, there are Capcom guys.
no, but I mean like in a sense of like the brand. Like you can enjoy their output as a publisher, but like people really get behind PlayStation, the brand. It is like it is a like people love it and they get behind, they support the brand. Xbox, Nintendo, same thing. Like you support the brand, you buy merch, you spend money on, accessories, you buy it's not just games. Like you're buying the console, you're buying the games, you're buying the accessories, you're buying the merch. I fucking bought a Starfield hoodie because I love Starfield and it's an important exclusive on my favorite platform. So it's just like it still is until it comes out, it still is.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, like people, they like that's the difference. If Nintendo became a publisher, would people still be Nintendo guys? Like, it would be different though because Nintendo wouldn't have an ecosystem. Like, there's a difference between being a fan of a publisher's games and buying into it like an ecosystem and a brand.
And also, that's never gonna happen because Nintendo just.
Yeah, yeah, no. Here's the thing. I do think that if Xbox makes this move, like. I don't know if PlayStation does it, but like that's feasible. It's not feasible to ever see.
Why would you?
Yeah,
you're being
that's
handed
true,
a silver platter. Like, why
yeah,
would
you're
you do that?
in Monopoly. Why would you? Yeah, I take it back. Yeah, you're right. No,
I'd make
never
my
mind.
consoles cost $50 more. I'd double the
$50.
like, you know what I mean? But like,
$500 more. What are you gonna do?
yeah, it's just
Like,
What are
hey,
you gonna do? Now, realistically, what it comes down to is PlayStation. If Xbox leaves the market, in the sense of the console, PlayStation will no longer be the console alternative. They will actually be a PC alternative. So they'll be like, oh well, either and then they can match their price to a PC.
Yeah. So here's another thought about all this stuff that I had, right? So obviously, again, Xbox ecosystem, one of the biggest reasons is my games library. So like, let's say Xbox goes away. What happens to the Xbox customers who, because like keep in mind, there are people on the ecosystem like myself who have been around for almost 20 years. I'm going on 20 years, I think next year, I think. Not going to bother to do the math right now. Like there are people who have built up these libraries, especially the digital ones. Like at least me, I have physical copies. But like, like what about these people that went digital when Xbox?
How long until the servers?
When the Xbox One, PS4 era started, right? Like digital started to make its way to become the prevalent, primary way people buy games. Like what happens to all the thousands of dollars people spent when the Xbox ecosystem goes away? Well, they lose all those games.
Yeah. No, and that's like.
You think PlayStation is going to be like, yeah, sure, if you bought it over there, well, I'm like, no, fuck no, they're going to charge you.
Buy it again for 3 times the price.
So if you really like it, buy it again. Yeah, we're selling it now for $90.
But the thing is, I think so far what we've heard is, and I think it's like, why are you doing this? And maybe this is the reason why they're doing it. But they're still going to make consoles. They're still putting consoles out for you to play those games.
Right now they are, but like that's where the question is though. Is like, at what point does Microsoft, a corporation that killed their brand for the sake of profits, at what point do they look at this hardware and be like, why do we have this hardware?
I mean,
that's my point though.
I mean,
like,
I guess that
it goes downhill.
I do think
that's where it ends.
I do think they also don't have faith in the hardware.
Well, no. I do think that
clearly they don't.
Well, no, they said it.
I don't. Well, yeah, they do.
But
they
here's
don't
the
have
thing.
faith,
I think the reason they're doing this move is because they know that eventually gaming is going to be all digital. It is. Look at digital sales versus hardware. Like it is. Walmart's not selling.
I'm a physical collector, and I've come to peace with that.
I literally went to Walmart and bought Tekken 8.
Yeah, but they got rid of their Xbox.
They are slowly physical games, at least from like Walmart. Like Best Buy is getting rid of their physical games.
That's huge. No,
and
you're
Blu-rays.
shaking your head. Target and Walmart. That's huge. That's huge.
So here's the thing,
and like where your money's coming from. Like that's insane. And like if you look at digital sales, they're skyrocketing. These companies know that digital is the future, and cloud is getting very close to.
I don't think the next gen Xbox is gonna, or PlayStation for that matter. I don't think either of them are gonna have a disc drive.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Look, and here's the thing: me, there's a room over there. I love physical collecting, and I would love for the video games industry to treat physical releases the way the music industry treats vinyls. I would love for that to be the case. I hope it happens. I don't think it will.
I just realized what's gonna happen.
Everything's gonna be digital. You're not gonna own your games.
Everything's gonna be digital. Here's what's gonna happen. Everything's gonna be digital.
Yep.
Initial.
Yep.
And then when it does well enough, then they make you buy a physical.
Not even if it does well enough. If
no, that's not going to happen.
If the studio wants
they don't
to
want to print discs. Period. That's just what it is.
Yeah. If the studio itself wants to do it, they will do it. It won't be a disc thing. You'll get like, hey, here's a statue and here's a art book and here's a this and here's a that. Here's a keychain. Here's a ring. Here's a hat. but it won't be a physical CD anymore. I mean, if you look at CDs right now, the game's not even on there.
I wouldn't even mind if they like just go to USBs.
But like, it's not even on the CD anymore. You put the CD in, and it just lets you download the game onto the console.
Yeah, it's true.
CDs are just a piece of plastic you put in the
It's
console.
a CD key. Literally, like pun not intended. Like it's a CD key,
and you don't need that anymore. So it's like. It's just it doesn't make sense from their point of view. It's money you're putting into something that doesn't even need to exist.
And this was a funny thought that I had, right? Because I think I said it to you, where it was like,
that makes me sad.
you, what do you mean? It makes him sad.
Yeah.
Did you know that? It makes him sad.
Imagine how you feel.
That's what I'm saying. Jesus Christ. Anyways, I personally came to peace with the fact that the games industry is going to make a shift to digital. I honest to God have. Like, it's something that, like, I'm going to support physical, like, releases as much as I can, as long as I can, but eventually a day is going to come.
You came to terms with it, yeah.
Yeah, I've accepted it. It's like, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Will I buy less games in that digital future? Yeah, probably. I will buy less games. I know that I will buy less games.
And I think this proves that it's coming a lot sooner than we think it is.
For sure. But, so here's my point.
Well, I'm going to say Thanos was right.
Maybe he was. Right? Maybe we should have just... Anyways, so I came to grips with that, right? And I've accepted that the games industry is changing. The direction is changing. I can't fathom or really justify this future where there's one platform holder. Like, that's a change that I just can't get behind. I can understand and get behind the digital future. I can understand and get behind subscription models even. I can understand and get behind cloud gaming. These are things that I don't care about now or agree with or want. It's not my preference, but I can understand that that's the direction the industry's going. For Xbox to do what it's doing is something that I can't come to terms with or fathom. And for the flip side, to be fair, yes, I'm an Xbox gamer. If PlayStation were doing the exact same thing, I would feel the exact same way, where, like, I want there to be 3 platforms. Like, the industry is at its best when you have these 3 platforms keeping each other in check and forcing innovation on each other.
I agree with. I think that is, like, okay, I don't even play that. Like, for me, Game Pass, I tried Game Pass. I loved it. I don't play enough games. I don't have enough time to play that many games.
Yeah.
So I'm the type of person who's going to buy... I'm just going to buy the game that I want to play. I'm going to buy like 5-6 games a year and just be happy with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So I don't care about Game Pass. If these games are everywhere, that doesn't really bother me. I'm going to play... If they put the game out and it's going to be on PC, like, that's just a thing. I'm just going to play the game. It doesn't matter to me. The part that's the most painful is that, yes, Xbox is dying, but that gives... There's no one to check PlayStation.
Yeah, and that's
the scariest part of everything that I've heard out of this whole, like, going multi-platform and all of that. The scariest part is that there's no competition. There's no head-to-head competition for Sony.
Yeah.
Right now, they're going to have everything. They're going to have all the Xbox games plus their own games. They're already in the lead in terms of, like, those 2 consoles. Nintendo, like, and I know this is an ongoing argument you have with Ty. Yes, Nintendo is a competitor to...
They're loosely a competitor.
Yeah.
Nintendo is a competitor in regards to software.
Yeah.
But PlayStation and Xbox are... They're the high-end gaming market.
Yeah.
Nintendo is not in the high-end gaming console market.
Yeah.
Like, they in terms of that, no, they don't compete. But in terms of software and stuff like that, on a broader sense, they are competition.
Like, I know you use fighting a lot. If Xbox is WWE or if Xbox is AEW, I know you'd like that better.
Yeah, please, yeah. Well, I mean, they are. I mean,
yeah, it's technically, yeah.
Xbox isn't the leader, nor is AEW.
And Sony's WWE, I feel like Nintendo's UFC. You know what I mean? Like, it's still a competitor. People are still going to watch it.
That is really good. I like that.
It's just like, they're not it's a different type of thing.
Like, it is competition, but it's not competition.
Nintendo isn't going to suffer
Nintendo
as
goes
much.
and plays on the park while they go have their Godzilla fight.
So it's like Sony's going to have free reign, and there's no one to be like...
Nintendo's not going to come out tomorrow and be like, guys, we got to save the games industry.
Yeah.
We're going high end. The next Nintendo console is going to be fucking 8K. 120.
Yeah,
no, that's not happening. It's just not.
They're like,
the Super Switch is barely going to be more powerful than today's consoles. I don't even think they're going to be more powerful. They're going to be less powerful.
Like, they're going to literally come out and just be like, so now you can smell your games. Like, that's Nintendo
now
energy.
You can smell them, and they don't smell bad.
Yeah.
I think that's the most harmful thing out of everything that I've heard. Like, it's like, yeah, it sucks. You're gonna lose the ecosystem. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
That the games are gonna be everywhere. It's just
The death of Xbox leads to a lack of competition. A monopoly is not good, no matter who you are. PlayStation will do whatever they want as the only game in town. They'll charge more for consoles. They'll charge more for games. They will care less about innovating with their titles. They will care less about innovating with their products in general. You think it's bad now that they put out a VR headset and then abandon it? You think it's bad now? It's gonna get a lot worse. Like, at least they put out a VR headset this time. And they're not going to do that next time. It's just not good all around. Something that I've been using a lot.
When you get your PC.
So something I've been using a lot as an example is pro wrestling, actually. And so I kind of wanted to throw it out here as well with WCW and WWE. For those that don't watch wrestling, during the 90s, there was the Attitude Era, which was the biggest boom that wrestling has seen, because there was two major competitors in the wrestling scene that also around them lifted the industry up. So in 2001, WCW, the direct competitor for WWE, goes out of business. They fail. WWE ends up beating them in the end. They buy WCW. They gobble them up. The WCW wrestlers appear on WWE, kind of like Xbox games.
They're going to appear on PlayStation.
And so you would think, oh man, this is great. All of my favorite wrestlers from both platforms, from both companies, are now in the same company doing great stuff. And you would think that. And at first, it works really well. You know, if like 2001 to 2003, I think WWE is pretty good in those years, right? Even as you get like a little bit later, 2004, 5, 6, then they're still pretty good. But as the time goes on, the product just dies. Like, the quality is terrible. The storylines make no sense. They do baffling things in terms of, like, production goes down. Like, yeah, they have these new LED boards, but the camera cuts make people sick. Like, there's so many things that, and like, this isn't a wrestling podcast, we're not going to go too deep into it, why WWE is fucking terrible. But, like, the company just dies because there's no competition in the space. If you are a wrestling fan, before AEW comes along, if you're a wrestling fan who wants to watch mainstream wrestling, there's only one place to get it. And if you don't like it, well, what the fuck else are you going to do? Forrest, how many years did you come over to watch WrestleMania and we didn't have fun?
Yeah, there was like a solid 6 year
like
chunk.
6-7 years.
Where like just straight. I mostly started coming over because you got miserable, and that was funny.
One time we sat at the table and played Monopoly.
Yeah, while WrestleMania was on, it was just like, I was like, this sucks. I was
like, hey, we're hanging out together. Let's do something else.
Yeah, I was like, this is just not fun.
And we played Monopoly because apparently that's more fun.
And I would not be watching.
The fights were better.
And I would not be watching pro wrestling today if it wasn't for the fact that AEW came along as competition. Like, are they going to beat WWE? And this is actually a great point as well for Xbox. It leads into my next point. Is AEW going to beat WWE ever? Probably not. WWE had a 50-year head start, billion-dollar company, deals with Netflix and the Saudis and everybody. AEW will never compete with WWE in a sense that, like, they will beat WWE straight up. That'll never happen. And if it does happen, we're talking like 50 to 100, like 50 years from now, or like WWE would have to do some, like, go out of business. Like, it just isn't happening. But as competition, they keep them in check. WWE since AEW, it has gotten better. It hasn't gotten much better, but it's gotten better because they have to try a little bit harder.
Because the reason is, in order for AEW to even be relevant, they have to do something amazing. They have to wow fans that are already invested into WWE, which is already a much bigger brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If you want to get off the ground, you have to do something crazy. And so AEW has to, like, put all their heart and soul into this. And, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is, like,
just
that's
to be
really
relevant.
where, now let's bring it back to the Xbox. They're out of heart. They're out of soul.
Even though
they sold their soul.
And I see what Ty is saying right here. It's like, oh, well, the Xbox Series isn't selling as much as even the Xbox One.
But it's like,
they're in the room, they're in the talks, people are still buying it. Like,
at the end of the day, Xbox is still turning a profit. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand. Xbox was profitable. Xbox is it's either the second or the third most profitable wing of Microsoft outside of the AI stuff they're doing. Like, it is a profitable venture for them before making this change. It's not like Microsoft is sitting around like, guys, we're losing money here with Xbox. Like, it's just not making money.
It's literally just, I want more money.
Yeah, that's what it is. Xbox is making money. They're just not making enough money. Does Xbox need to beat PlayStation? No, they don't. At the end of the day, they are making a profit, and they could continue to attract more customers. Like Phil Spencer was right. People are not going to sell their PS5s to buy an Xbox. But there will be people who are going to look at it. If you keep your games on your exclusive platform, man, you know, let's fast forward 2 years from now. Let's assume Xbox doesn't do this, right? 2 years from now, somebody's sitting there like, man, Xbox has Starfield, Avowed, Indiana Jones, Fable. Like, if you get to a point where you're counting, like, you can't count the games that are there that are worth playing on your hands, like, people are going to make that decision. People want to play great games. I fully believe
I was actually,
and
before
all
all
this,
this...
saying Xbox is turning a profit from software and consoles, from services, not consoles. And
but it doesn't matter. If it's still turning a profit, you can still be part of your business.
No, but I do agree with what he's saying. Like, yes, they are still turning a profit. I agree with you guys. They are still making money. They could be making at least minimum double of what they're making now just by doing this. And it's just, that's the fact of it.
I understand that.
And that's the part that sucks. It's like, they want money, this will make them money, but something has to die in the end.
And it's the fans.
But the problem is, and here's a big thing about it, and we could talk about console sales not doing well. Why, my question for Xbox would be, why didn't you at least try? And what I mean by that is, like, so we went all these years, right, without the games. And, like, we finally have, or about to get the games. Like, yes, Starfield came out last year. I understand that's one game. No matter how much you love Starfield, it's one game. Redfall was a flop. So you can count it, you cannot count it. Regardless, it's one game that people should play for your platform. We are finally approaching a time where by the end of this year, there's 4 new first-party games that are highly anticipated that people want to play. And let's say not even all of them hit. Let's say let's say you 50% of your games hit. That's still 2 games. Like, they're giving up on trying to improve their hardware sales before the games even come out. And I think that's my problem.
This was the plan from the beginning.
But you know why? Because
I really don't think that.
Yes,
I don't think they bother.
Look, yes, we can wait and then have future games eventually build up our ecosystem, or we can sell Starfield today.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Double the money.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is that
we've already waited. We've already tried many generations. Like Ty is saying,
but they didn't. The games weren't there. They just weren't there.
The Series S and X are selling less than the Xbox One, and that was a catastrophe.
Hey, great! Like I said earlier, I'm speaking as a customer and a consumer of the brand. I don't give a fuck about that.
I know. But
at the end of the day, you're turning a profit.
I don't
care. I don't care.
It's just like, it should. Like,
sorry, you didn't make too much extra money? Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck that. I don't get. Again, we can speak on it factually, and I'm not going to sit here and disagree with those facts.
You're speaking from your heart. And it's just like,
there's no point.
I want to be there, but it's just like, it doesn't. I see why they're doing the things that I see. Everything makes sense for what they're doing. I don't like it. I don't agree with it.
That's
I don't
fine.
want Xbox to die.
That's fine. And we like, again, and Ty can sit here and argue his anti-consumer takes all he wants. Like, that's fine. I understand that.
I get why.
I'm not dumb. I understand why they're doing it. I understand why it turns a profit.
I'm just tired of it because everything is going.
But you're saying like, why don't you wait? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?
But you could at least. My thing is, make the effort as a brand, as a company, make the effort to turn this around and do what you need to do, and maybe your sales will go up even more.
Because I think, like Forrest said, this was probably the plan for a long time.
Yeah, it was a contingency
plan. Again, I still stand by. I think Microsoft's
like a contingency plan.
No,
but you don't wake up one day and say, "I'm going to spend $70 billion." This is a talk. This is at minimum 5 years. You're talking.
I mean,
about
also kind of devil's advocate. We'll never know, but like, maybe Microsoft was going to make Call of Duty exclusive. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they were spending that money to do that. Maybe, you don't know.
That's true.
You don't know. So we'll never know. But the sources that spoke to the Xbox influencers said that this was a more recent change of mindset.
I don't believe that. You don't spend $75 billion and change your mind one day.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
No, you don't do that because that's just then you're stupid. That's bad business. You need to stick to the plans.
I think that the way the Xbox model kind of presented itself, and the Xbox argued this to the CMA. It's actually really funny because Xbox actually gave the CMA a bar, like a bar graph, showing what was going to be exclusive and what wasn't. And I actually thought it was a really good model that kind of pleased both the people that want it to be multi-platform and don't. And it's honestly, I think, the thing that they should do. And again, I should have saved it, but so you guys could see it. But basically, it's a bar, and on the left side, it's red. On the right side, it's red, and in the middle, it's green. And the green is exclusives. And the left side was niche audiences, like games with niche audiences or live service games. And like up there, it shows like Psychonauts and Sea of Thieves, or no, Fallout 76. And like those games make sense to go multi-platform. Yeah, those games make sense to go multi-platform because one of them won't sell a lot on Xbox anyway, and it makes sense to port it to other consoles. And then the live service games, obviously, you need players, so it makes sense to do that as well. And then on the right, I forget the terminology, but it was basically like Call of Duty and like Minecraft, like big releases like that. And those were also not going to be exclusive. And then in the middle, it was like, the wording was like unknown levels of success, usually single player, would be exclusive on Xbox.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was a business model that really made a lot of sense. And I think that you could have your cake and eat it too, where like, hey, you're still going to put Call of Duty on PlayStation. You're still going to put some of these like really crazy big titles and some of these live service games on PlayStation, and you're still going to recoup your costs. Like Minecraft, still on all these other platforms.
That's kind of what PlayStation
that makes
does.
sense to me. Call of Duty being on other platforms, that makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is putting your exclusives, your single player big hits that like just putting them everywhere. Because again, then at that point we get into the question of like your whole ecosystem goes down the drain. And I think that you can have your cake and eat it too by having a hybrid model there. And I think that's really where the line where it just doesn't make sense to me is I understand the thought process of putting games on other platforms. And I think you could still do that. I just don't see the validity of like, why not play both sides here? Why not play both sides and like, okay, well, we're going to sell games like Call of Duty and Minecraft and Fallout 76 and whatever and Hi-Fi Rush. We're going to sell these on other platforms and they're going to make money for us and that's going to be great. And we'll be able to make that profit that Activision was making. You could literally just do everything you were doing with Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda and keep Activision doing the same thing and still like be making fucking mad money. And then you put the Activision older games on Game Pass. Like that was, for me, that was what the Activision deal was all about. It was all about putting that back catalog on Game Pass. And the new releases too. But like for me, that was a Game Pass acquisition. When they announced they were buying Activision, I'm like, oh shit, Game Pass is about to be lit. But it's not, apparently, because Call of Duty is not going to go to Game Pass day and date. Let's see. Ty
right
says,
now, the reason
would you change your mind if Xbox didn't go multi-platform? 24 games drop, Indie Avowed, the console still flopped. Do you change your mind? I think that at that point, I could at least say like, okay, well, here are the numbers, and at least an attempt was made. Like, of course your hardware is going to fail if you don't have software. Like, no shit. Like, that's that's like, wow, what a brilliant analysis here. Like,
here's the thing, though. I think they saw it with Forza, they saw it with Halo, they saw it with Starfield. Like, those are huge games that didn't do much, that didn't put the dent that you needed to put.
But so also to clarify,
Avowed's not going to do much more than Starfield.
I mean, I was actually going to buy an
Yeah,
Xbox.
sure, but it's still
he was going to buy an Xbox for Avowed.
I literally was.
Yeah,
it's like it's not going to put the big dent that you.
Avowed might still stay on Xbox. I'm just saying, you don't know.
I don't know.
Well, now I'm going to get it on PC.
It feels like right now you're in the bargaining stage of grief.
No,
and it's just like
I'm
you
not.
are. I think it's you know.
I like his hybrid model idea though.
Yeah,
that's.
But everything you're saying is like, hey, this won't make you as much money as the plane you're going to do, but you could do this. Like,
but again, it's all about investments for the future. Like again, you buy Activision for investment. You can play both sides.
That's what it is, though.
But you can play both sides and make all that money still. You can still have your service. You could like Game Pass is profitable, and you're releasing the Call of Duty games
Dev,
on multi-platform. You could do both and make more money.
He sees the possibility of a compromise. You see the take it now and get out.
I see
it's
what
not
he's
just
saying.
to take it now and get out. I do think that the plan of going multi-plat and becoming a publisher, you're making games for Nintendo and PlayStation, and you're already in third place. Again, if you lose your entire Xbox fan base, if they all strike and they never spend another dime on you, you still double how much money you're going to make with just PlayStation fans.
Yeah, no, and I see exactly what you're saying.
I do too. I don't care.
Exactly, but I'm just saying it just.
You're saying his idea is bad business.
If I am a Microsoft exec, I don't want to hear anything you're saying. I just want more money in my pockets, and that's
this
is what this does.
Well, that's what I'm saying is the problem.
Again, you're saying like, oh, bargain. I understand like all the stages of grief. I get that. Like, no, it's like I understand the situation.
Yeah, he's in Majora's Mask right now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I like that. It's like I get it. Like it's not me bargaining. Like, oh, please, Microsoft.
It's just
like
all these ideas you're throwing out. Hey, you could do this. You could do this. You could do this. It's like I'm sure they talked about this in the room, and this still makes the most money for them. This still like is the most sustainable thing, and it just The part that sucks is you lose an Xbox ecosystem. That's what sucks, and there's no competition for Sony. That's literally the part.
But that's a danger.
But to them, that's not a danger. To them,
because they'll be okay. It's
but exactly that's
so.
The thing.
Here's my thing though, and here's why I go. It's a bad idea, and they're unleashing the beast. Basically, everything's gonna go. The industry's gonna collapse in on itself because of this dumb shit.
Here's the thing.
It doesn't though.
No,
Sony
it will.
Sony grows. Xbox grows
and
with it.
Sony can set. I don't care about Xbox now. I'm now looking at the biggest picture.
Here's the thing.
Mo, you're not making sense. Listen, Sony grows. Let's say Sony triples in profits,
and then they triple in price.
Who's buying those games? We are. We're still gonna buy Xbox games.
But it's not.
But we're now talking about different things.
No, we're not.
We are. He and I are talking about. We're playing two different.
So
games
you're talking about Xbox surviving.
You're talking about the sales
we're
of a
more
corporation,
worried about
the health of the industry.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the industry. Yeah, no,
absolutely. And here's the thing.
I agree with you.
Here's where I'm talking from. Like, yes, I'm talking from like an Xbox consumer perspective. Like I am.
I'm talking
do not
from
take that away.
Just looking at the bigger picture because I don't care ultimately who does what, who has the better game, and can I afford it?
At the end of the day,
what I care
what's
about.
most important to me is the health of the video game industry. I love the video game industry.
I agree with you. I agree
it is
with
a
you
passion of mine, something that I legitimately care about. It is something that, like, if I end up having like grandkids, I want them to experience a vibrant video games to play. You know, maybe they love it as much as I do, and like they can like come up into a healthy video game industry where like everything is where we want it to be.
No,
and that for me is always going to be the big thing where it's like again like. I don't want the PlayStation ecosystem to go away. I don't want the Xbox ecosystem to go away.
Let me ask you this.
The Nintendo
you guys have both had jobs before, and you've gotten job offers.
Sure.
And you're like, have you been in a job where you hate it? Both of you have, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if somebody else said, hey, come work for us. You're going to make so much more money, but your current job says, hey, we want you here because you make the schedule nice. Everyone here likes you. Like, you're going to move to the job that you make more money. Fuck you guys.
You ready for this? Yeah, I did that, and then I got laid off by that company.
Yeah, but like,
fuck off.
You still did it.
Yeah, and I got laid off.
But you still did
it.
At
the lowest point of my life. Yeah, fuck off.
But you still did it, and that's the thing that we're seeing here. But so you're not going to stay at the job that you hate just because you're good on the schedule. Everybody knows your name. You're good as all the customers. You're making us a lot of money. No, fuck that. I'm going to go and move and make more money. You did it.
So but I don't care about that job. I'm just making my money.
Exactly. You don't care because when you leave that job.
He's not.
No, listen. When you leave that job, do you care what happens?
I want the place to burn.
Exactly. They don't care. They want the place to burn. Let it all go up in fire. They don't care.
Yeah, but the problem is we do.
I know,
so but that's the disconnect here.
I know, but our money doesn't matter to them. That's the part that I'm saying.
Just ban this guy. I'm tired of dealing with him. I don't want to.
He literally hasn't said anything.
Here's the thing. I agree with you guys that the industry is going to suffer. It's going to suffer heavily. Consoles are going to go up. Game prices are going to go up. What do we do? We sit here and complain. We sit there and offer them other alternatives. Hey, if you stay at the job, you can wear sneakers. You can. We'll change your hours a little bit, but it doesn't matter. You don't care anymore.
Yeah, but now this is apples and oranges again.
Yeah, it's apples to oranges. I agree with you.
You cannot compare working man to fucking consumers.
It's just bigger. That's all it is. It's just bigger. You leave the job for more money. You leave the job you hate for more money. They're leaving this industry that's not making them enough money for more money. It's not.
But I've also stayed at a job that I liked and made less money. When I've had better offers.
A job that you liked. A job that was working out for you, right?
No. It wasn't working out for me.
But you liked it. It was working out for you emotionally, right?
Sure.
Xbox isn't working out emotionally for these executives. It's selling less than the previous console.
But they're not Microsoft. They are Microsoft. They're not Xbox.
Exactly.
It's like your boss.
Microsoft isn't in the games industry. Xbox.
This almost happened down to a T.
Yeah.
To me, I
gotta leave really soon, by the way.
Whatever, I'll let it go then.
No, it's just I get what you guys are saying. It's just I don't know what we can say or do to justify them not doing it. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing.
I agree with you guys. I don't want it to go. The industry is going to die, or not die, but it's going to be hurt for us. Us with our money, we're going to suffer.
Exactly.
But I just don't see how we tell them that and have them care when
they'll never care.
Exactly. That's the part that I'm trying to make. That's the point that I'm trying to make where it's like we already knew that things were going digital. We already knew that games were eventually going to go cloud. It's just like, it sucks all the way around. Like, I just don't know.
Why buckle? Why give up? It sounds like you're giving up.
Because I'm not going to get in the ring with Mike Tyson.
Why not?
Because I'm going to die.
He's pretty old. He's pretty old.
I'm still not going to fight Mike Tyson.
Bro, a good kick is a good kick. You know what I'm saying?
Swing.
No. See, what you were describing is punching down. And what I'm talking about is punching up.
He's got to be stopped.
I'm not even signed in here. It doesn't matter.
He's got to be stopped. I'm done with this.
Listen.
Me back my investment.
At this point, man, you can have it.
You can fight all you want. You can go outside and have pitchchforks and everything. It's just like...
But that's what it takes to change.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
You just lay down and roll over all the time.
Every time Microsoft has done something that the Xbox community...
They've weighed this already. If they lose every Xbox customer... They still double
make more money.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. Here's why it's still worth fighting, in my opinion. Number one, in the past, when Microsoft has done stuff to Xbox that the fan base doesn't agree with, they've been able to change it. Remember when they were getting rid of Xbox Live at first?
Oh, yeah.
And all people were all upset about that. The Xbox community has been able to course correct before, and that's why the Xbox side of this argument is trying to get the audience involved, because they don't want this. You don't want this. They're at their job and their bosses are making them do this.
And also, I'm willing to fight because we have proof that we've won once or twice. Remember, Sonic was trash, and now it's actually it looks good.
Again, at the end of the day,
we bullied them into making it better.
Exactly. At the end of the day, I will do what I feel like I can do in my power as a consumer and as someone who, however small my space on my corner of the internet is, I'm going to do everything I can do. And at the end of the day, if they do what they do, that's fine. But I'm still going to do me, and I'm still going to do what I do as a consumer, as a fan of games, as someone who wants the games industry to do well. Again, for me, my priority, I understand the dollars and cents of it, and we can go back and forth. I'm going to try to end this part of the conversation because I know you got to go soon. We can go back and forth about dollars and cents. Ty and I can go back about dollars and cents. But at the end of the day, me personally, what I care about, even taking it away from myself, when I say I care about reviews being available day one, do I use them? No, I use them for entertainment purposes, but I don't look at a review and that doesn't decide how I buy a game. Because I've done this for so long and I study them and I know enough. Exactly. I know if a game's going to be good or not looking at it. Like Suicide Squad, I was like, that game is going to be fucking terrible. Wow, it's terrible. Wow. Shocker. But anyways, I don't care about that. I care about two things: the strength of the industry and our customers getting what they need and what they want out of things. And right now, at the end of the day, neither of those two things are happening. Xbox customers and consumers aren't getting what they want out of it, and Xbox, the brand, going away leads to the death of competition, which leads to a monopoly, which leads to the games industry no longer being healthy.
We've seen. We've seen happen and play in real time, and then this takes me back to one of my original points.
And that is why I will continue to fight
I love watching history repeat itself.
Yes.
And that's why I will continue to fight it until I'm blue in the fucking face.
I know you will.
Or green, because it's my favorite color.
Yeah.
It's the down. We have to throw downsides at Microsoft. We have to. Hey, if you do this bad thing will happen to you. And right now, we don't have any downsides to throw at Microsoft. And that's the part that's scary. You want me to throw a punch? I have nothing. My hand weighs nothing. I don't have anything to hit with them.
Doesn't matter. It's just the fact that you keep trying to swing.
All right, keep swinging. I don't have time for that. I have a job. I still want to play video games. I don't have time to fight something that's going to happen inevitably. I just don't.
Well,
I honestly don't.
Even if you prolong it, it's a victory.
We're not even going to do that. We have no weight behind.
We don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Well, we don't know.
That's true. We do. We don't know.
Again, apparently these things are still in discussion.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: if you could sway people's opinions and sway people's thoughts, and you can sway that stuff, which that's the whole reason all of this got out.
You know what would hurt them?
Right now, we're
I can tell you what will hurt them.
We're defeating the enemy with the power of love and heart. That's what we have. That's
all we have. Let's do it.
That's all I got, bro. That's all I got.
And it's yeah, that works in anime and video games. That doesn't really work for mega corporations.
It doesn't work in the thing that you want them to make for you.
All right, so
it works in the thing they want to make for me. It just doesn't work in real life.
So let's move along a little bit. I am going to skip around some stuff. I was going to talk about this.
Oh God, there's more.
Yeah, but I'm going to skip. I'm going to skip through some big stuff. So Jez Corden put out a great article on Windows Central. It's an opinion piece. It's really great. Jez is awesome. He does kind of show both sides of it and stuff like that. Like you can see here, he says Microsoft doesn't care. Microsoft either way doesn't see it or doesn't care.
Yeah.
Whatever. Read that article. It's great. We won't talk about it. The community, I guess briefly I'll touch on this is like, whether it's a pro or con that the Xbox community is so close to the Xbox brand, whether it's good or bad. I stand by the fact that I think it's good.
I agree with you.
And Chloe Burrell, who is a big time Xbox influencer, who has said since that, like, if Xbox goes through with this, he's going to slowly retire his brand and his Twitter. Like, he's like, I'm getting out. If Xbox does this,
it makes sense.
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And one of the things he tweeted the other day that I thought was really true is, like, the one thing that always differentiated Xbox from the rest is a heavy orientation towards fans. That's why I'm here. I'd rather be loud now than never. But all concerns aside, I do very much know Xbox has to run a business and will be fine, more than fine, moving forward. This is a great tweet where it's like, look, at the end of the day, I am going to sit here on my podcast and say how I feel, because I'd rather do it now in the hopes that it changes something, as opposed to next week's podcast like, if they do this on Monday, like, we might not even do a podcast until after they do their announcement next week. Like, I don't even know what day we're going to do a show.
No, that makes
like,
sense.
We might just wait because it's going to be what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And so, like, next time that we're here on a camera, it'd be great if you came back, by the way. It's a long drive. You should do this. This is great. But, like,
yeah, I'll just do it every week.
Yeah, I would love it. Making commitments for you.
I could make the arrangements where you can do it from home too. Like,
that's true.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, whatever. We'll figure something out.
But
anyways, like, I'm gonna sit here on my podcast this week and try to change it, because next week, whatever they decide, I'm not gonna be able to change it next week.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do what I can. And fuck Ty. I don't care. mute the guy. I'm done with him. I'm legitimately like, when Ty asked me, "Hey, you gonna be on my podcast on Sunday?" I might say no. And you know what? He's screwed, because Kenwall won't be there because the Super Bowl's on Sunday, and I know Kenwall watches sports, so I'm gonna be in high demand on Sunday because I'm not watching the Super Bowl. Ken's gonna be, or Ty's gonna be like, "Oh man, I need someone for my podcast." And I'm gonna be
the
like,
helicopter.
No!
The helicopter will pick you up shortly. Bring the Microsoft headquarters.
I'll be on the helicopter crying.
He's like, we were pleased with your performance.
Wiping your tears with the dollars.
Yeah. We're gonna shoot down the helicopter.
I don't admit to crimes on the internet.
He's like, I'm not shooting down this imaginary helicopter.
I was talking about Call of Duty.
In
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Do you? No, I gotta go. I gotta go.
All right. Well, Risk It for Biscuit said today, 2 hours ago, the war is over, just not the way you think it is.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, that was pretty much it. I mean, I guess we'll close off with what do you think happens next week?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Okay.
We're saying all this. They're saying, hey, don't believe what you heard. I really don't know.
Okay.
I think we're gonna get a hybrid of what we've heard.
I like his hybrid idea. That's also the most logical.
Yeah,
thing.
I do think we get a hybrid, something hybrid.
Ty should pick me up on the helicopter.
Again, if you
I know
want,
what I'm talking about.
If you want people to buy your consoles, you have to give them something.
Yep. What's the point?
Yeah. So I think we're gonna see a hybrid.
They're either gonna tell us they're leaving the market.
I can see timed exclusives, maybe a year.
I don't agree with the time. I would say 2 years. If you're going to do timed exclusives,
I don't agree with
you
either. But this is just, you're asking me what I think is going to happen. They're cashing in. They're selling out, and this is like, I don't know.
I'll tell you what. I'll also ask this real quickly. I ask you, what do you think happens on next week?
So like I just said, I think we're gonna get some clarification on what they're gonna decide one way or the other.
Sure.
Because at this point, it's just everyone's speculatively run rampant.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're also going to hear, we hear you, we see you,
yeah.
and we're looking to the future. Yeah. I know we're going to hear those words. But we're not, you know what we're not going to hear? You know what we're not going to hear? Xbox exclusive.
Okay. All right. So what I think we're going to hear next week is, I think we hear a hybrid. I really do. I don't think that they fully... what I laid out is what I hope and what I think makes sense for everybody involved.
If it is,
I think it's a compromise that works.
Here's the thing: if it is a hybrid we hear next week, this is just them dipping their toes in the pool. They're ready to jump in.
Well, here's the thing,
There's no reason not to.
Hindsight's 2020. If theoretically, let's just get into a theoretical here. If PlayStation were to do the same thing, that changes the equation. That's at that point, it's like, what ecosystem do you like more?
Why would you?
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying that changes the narrative.
Yeah.
Like, if Xbox and PlayStation both put each other's games on each other's... but here's the thing, and here's the devil's advocate. PlayStation says that their costs of game development are too high. Maybe it makes sense to drop your games day and day on PC and Xbox.
Now it doesn't matter, though.
Maybe it does.
Yeah.
Anyways, so last thing before we close. Real quick, because I thought this was really good. If Xbox said next week, that some of its games will be coming to rival platforms at full price, but the Xbox platform will get 6 to 12 months of exclusivity plus day one Game Pass on those games. Would that be an acceptable announcement for you, Dev?
That sounds like the most like.
That sounds like what they're gonna do.
That sounds like what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's enough for me. No.
Okay, Forrest.
I can easily wait 6 months. I don't even play games now, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
I can easily.
You haven't
Yeah,
gotten
no,
Starfield
and
yet.
it
You wanna
has
play
to be.
Starfield.
Yeah.
So for me, for the exclusive, it has to be at least a year. The bare minimum has to
Yeah,
be
but
a
even
year.
that to me is like that doesn't bother me. I'm still like I'm not gonna go buy an Xbox with this deal.
True.
I have no reason to buy an Xbox with this deal. I can just wait 6 to 12 months. That's nothing. I'm still playing games that I haven't played yet. My backlog is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I have no reason to do this.
So my answer, actually, I'm just going to read my tweet because I put my tweet right here. It depends on which games, but generally speaking, not really.
Yeah.
Gamers definitely want value, but they really want to play great games most. Most gamers would probably just go to the box that has all the games in one place. A platform ecosystem without exclusives will fail.
Yep.
And also, like Jez said, acceptable for Sony when the platform dies. Yee.
Yee.
All right, end the podcast.
All right, well, everyone, this is this has been episode 53 of the Game Room Podcast. Devereaux has to go to bed. I also have to go to bed. I have work in the morning.
I think you want to say something to Ty. I think you should just get it out.
Ty, the thing is, oh wait, before I talk to Ty, follow us on Twitter, join our Discord in the description.
Yes, join our Discord.
Please join our Discord. We're trying to grow our Discord, grow our community.
We
If
want to
you
hear
like
your
video
thoughts.
games,
We like talking to you
Y'all
guys.
gonna be the new Xbox community.
like, hey, look, yeah, right. Please, if you're an Xbox fan, and like, no, seriously, if you're an Xbox fan, come join the Discord and be part of the community here.
While
Like,
it's
we love
still
you.
around.
Now that being said, Ty, the thing that is that like I just can't fucking stand the way that you are such a shill for Microsoft. And the worst thing about you, Ty,